At 56 Blinn Street in Hell's Kitchen, a sign, missing a screw and about to fall, hung precariously, bearing the words, Marvel Agency. No one knew what Marvel meant, but they knew what an agency meant. Screech. A piercing screech of brakes sounded, followed by a sleek Audi sports car pulling up to the entrance. Then, a corpulent man stepped out of the driver's seat and quickly pushed open the agency's door. Inside, the decor was incredibly simple: unpainted concrete walls and floor, a tattered office desk, a worn-out boss's chair, and an Asian youth smoking a cigarette in the boss's chair. "Oh, isn't this Happy Hogan? Why aren't you with our playboy? What brings you to my firm?" the Asian youth teased. "Ed Lee, I'm not in the mood for jokes. You said before that you could take on any commission, is that true?" "Of course, I don't have a habit of boasting. What happened?" "Don't rush, tell me slowly." "Tony is missing. I need you to help me find him." Upon hearing this request, the youth smiled. "The reward? $10 million. Remember, we want him alive." "All right, sign your name. We'll take this commission. We'll deliver your Tony safely and soundly into your hands within 3 days." The youth pulled out a parchment scroll from seemingly nowhere and pushed it towards Happy Hogan, motioning for him to sign. Happy Hogan looked at the words on the parchment scroll, and after ensuring there were no issues, he immediately took out a pen and signed his name. But that wasn't all. The youth then pulled out an ink pad and gestured for him to press his fingerprint. Happy Hogan unsuspectingly pressed his thumb onto the ink pad, but a sharp pain shot through his finger. He quickly lifted his hand, discovering his finger was bleeding. "Hurry up and press it down. Don't let the wound dry, otherwise, we'll have to make a new one," the youth urged. Helpless, Happy Hogan could only use his blood as ink and pressed it onto the scroll. He then watched wide-eyed as the parchment scroll floated in midair, followed by his name and thumbprint emitting a faint orange glow. The light grew brighter and brighter, until finally, the parchment scroll burst into flames with a bang, turning into a pile of ash. "All right, wait for my good news. I'll bring your Tony back within 3 days. "No need to bring him back. Just deliver him to the nearby military base and hand him over to Pepper. You should know her." "Pepper Potts, I know her. A hard-working young woman." "All right, you can go back and wait for news. As soon as possible." Happy Hogan then left. As he closed the door, he leaned against it, pressing his hand to his rapidly beating heart. The scene he had just witnessed replayed in his mind. The parchment scroll, the fire, the blood, the name, all of it made Happy Hogan's thoughts race. He wouldn't be a demon, would he? "Never mind, even if it costs my soul, Tony must come back." Happy Hogan then drove away, while the man in the room excitedly waved his fists and sang, "I've waited so long, finally today has come. I've dreamed so long, finally my dream has come true. Ooh, I can finally truly activate the system. We're taking off." That's right, this Asian youth was not a local but an ordinary citizen from China on Earth. While watching the Marvel movie Captain Marvel 2, he was so enraged by the extremely perfunctory film that he suffered a heart attack on the spot and passed away. However, before he died, he obtained a system and, with its help, arrived in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, because transporting the host across this universe consumed a large amount of the system's energy, the system only managed to throw a beginner's gift package 1 to the host and then fell into a deep sleep after leaving one sentence. "Host, when someone issues a commission involving a main character, the system can be fully activated. Please wait patiently." After saying that, the system remained silent. The Asian youth, who is our protagonist, Lee Qingyue, could only open the beginner's gift package 1, from which he obtained this dilapidated firm, $10,000, fighting mastery, firearm mastery, identity documents, and a perfect super soldier serum. After Lee Qingyue used the perfect super soldier serum, he transformed into a muscular handsome man. At the same time, he gained fighting mastery and firearm mastery, 2 skills sufficient for him to survive in the rough and tumble Hell's Kitchen. He began operating this firm until Happy walked in just now, and the system was fully activated. He also learned the system's name, the firm system. As the name suggests, Lee Qingyue needs to manage the firm before him, upgrading the system by completing various commissions. Each completed commission not only earns him the client's payment but also system rewards. The rewards vary depending on the difficulty of the commission. Furthermore, after upgrading to a certain level, he will even receive commissions from other worlds, which will require Lee Qingyue to travel between worlds to complete them. Of course, Lee Qingyue can also recruit employees, but this requires system upgrades. As for what level is needed, that is beyond Li Qingyue's current knowledge and authority. Ding! Congratulations, host, for truly activating the firm system. You have received Beginner's Gift Package 2. Li Qingyue couldn't wait to open Beginner's Gift Package 2. Immediately, 2 eggs, a note, a cloth bag, and a card appeared inside. What is this? The host can use their consciousness to tap on items, and detailed descriptions will pop up. Li Qingyue followed the system's instructions, staring at the 2 eggs and then tapping them with his consciousness. Unknown egg * 2. Place in a room temperature environment of 26 degrees Celsius for 3 days and 3 nights to hatch. Can obtain any 2 animated characters from the animation world. Firm renovation voucher. Upon using this voucher, the firm will receive a simple renovation. 10 renovation vouchers can be combined into a medium renovation voucher, 10 medium renovation vouchers can be combined into a high-level renovation voucher, and 10 high-level renovation vouchers can be combined into a perfect-level renovation voucher. Spatial bag. Upon using this bag, you will gain 10 storage slots, capable of storing 10 different items. The same type of item can be stacked infinitely. Gunslinger Legacy Card, from the Dark Tower world. Upon using this card, you will gain the Gunslinger Legacy, acquiring basic self-healing, God-tier Western gunmanship, enhanced 5 senses, and a basic psychic barrier. After reading the descriptions of these items, Li Qingyue immediately used all items except the 2 eggs. Soon, a group of renovation workers directly kicked open the door, then, right in front of Li Qingyue, they swung sledgehammers and began furiously smashing the walls and floor, even demolishing the few remaining pieces of furniture. Li Qingyue stood among them, dumbfounded. He had never imagined such a scene. And these renovation workers were incredibly fast, taking less than 5 minutes to completely demolish Li Qingyue's firm until nothing was left. At the same time, they began conjuring bricks and cement out of thin air and started rebuilding. This time, it took less than 10 minutes for a brand new firm to appear. However, this renovation was only a simple one. An office desk, 2 sofas, a coffee table, a bookshelf, a water dispenser, and a boss's chair. Besides these, there was nothing else. The concrete walls were whitewashed, and the floor was tiled. The restroom and bedroom also had only the simplest renovations, but for Li Qingyue, who had faced concrete walls for an entire year, this was already enough. Phew, I've finally digested the Gunslinger's Legacy. Next, I need to pick 2 suitable guns, and then I can set off. Li Qingyue exhaled a pent-up breath and said calmly. In a grocery store in Hell's Kitchen, Li Qingyue pushed open the door. As the bell rang, an old man wearing a white apron, knitting a sweater, looked up and said, "Customer, what do you need?" "Hello, old Jack, it's me," Li Qingyue said. Hearing Li Qingyue's voice, the old man looked up. Edley, why are you here?" "You're not welcome," the old man snorted. "Oh, old Jack, I just took some of your customers. Is there any need to be so angry?" "Did you just take some?" The old man stood up and roared. "Don't get angry. When you're old, don't get angry easily, it's easy to get hemiplegia. Haven't I come to atone for my sins? Speak, what do you want to do now?" Hey, don't make it sound like I'm a bad person. This time I'm recommending business to you. I remember you have 2 modified Remington 1875 revolvers here, don't you? Are these 2 handguns for sale?" Old Jack frowned, staring at Li Qingyue and said, "This stuff isn't cheap. It's fine, I brought money, but I still need to see the goods, right?" Old Jack looked at the 10 bundles of banknotes Li Qingyue placed on the table, then silently walked to the warehouse. After some time, he took out a wooden box, placed it on the table and opened it. Inside were 2 silver modified Remington 1875 revolvers. Li Qingyue picked up one of them and felt it. This modified Remington 1875 revolver still had the appearance of a Remington 1875 revolver, but its cylinder had been modified to swing out, and it could fire continuously without needing to cock the hammer. This was a heavily modified Remington 1875 revolver, and because of this, it had been sitting at Old Jack's place for a long time without anyone buying it, as those who liked this type of gun considered such a modification an insult to it. And those who didn't like this gun type had no reason to buy it. But now Li Qingyue had inherited the gunslinger's legacy, and this modification suited his reloading method, which was why he would buy these 2 guns. The material of these 2 guns contains very rare metals, and even the gun body can be completely bulletproof, so this money is not enough. Old Jack snatched the gun from Li Qingyue's hand, put it back in the box and said, "Don't. I only have this much money on me right now. After I finish this job, I'll pay you the remaining balance. How about that?" "Alright, take it," Old Jack pushed the box forward and at the same time took the 10 bundles of banknotes from the table. Old Jack, I'm out of money. Give me some bullets. Old Jack rolled his eyes but still pulled out 5 boxes of compatible bullets from under the table. Each box had 30 bullets, totaling 150 bullets, which was more than enough. Next, Li Qingyue went to a tailor shop run by Chinese people and had them custom make special bullet belts according to his requirements. Of course, this was also on credit. Back at the firm, after Li Qingyue inserted the bullets one by one into the bullet belts and put them on, he stored the remaining bullets in his inventory. He also put mineral water and some food into his inventory. After everything was prepared, Li Qingyue clicked on the system panel, found the commission section, and as he pressed the teleport button, he was immediately transported to the Afghanistan desert. Damn it, I should have brought a sun hat. This weather is too hot. Li Qingyue looked up at the cloudless sky and the scorching sun, sighing. System, you didn't teleport me to the wrong location, did you? Why don't I see a cave here? Host, teleportation only transports you to the mission location, not directly near the mission target. Teleportation is only to save you travel time, the system explained helplessly. In other words, Li Qingyue still had to find Tony Stark's hiding place on his own. As he walked through the desert, looking at the boundless yellow sand, Li Qingyue felt a bit annoyed. Just then he suddenly saw a truck, filled with a group of people with their heads wrapped in white cloth, holding AKs. Fuchs finally saw some shadow. It looks like they should be terrorists, right? Never mind, I'll deal with them first. With that, Li Qingyue directly drew his gun and shot at their tires. Because 2 tires were blown out with one shot, the truck immediately lost control. Plus, the area around was sandy, so the tires got stuck, and then the whole truck overturned onto the sand. Fortunately, the nearby area was sandy, so besides some scratches, they were basically fine. When they got up, they each held their guns, furiously searching for the culprit who had caused this to them. Hello, are you looking for me? Li Qingyue came to the overturned truck, sat on it, and shouted. When that group saw Li Qingyue, just as they were about to open fire, a person appeared and immediately stopped them. Who are you? The person asked in broken Chinese. This surprised Li Qingyue a bit. He thought they would speak English, but he never expected him to speak Chinese. Oh, you can actually speak Chinese? Interesting. Which organization do you belong to? The 10 Rings Gang? The Taliban? Or the government army? We are from the government army. We received help from your country, so I can speak a little Chinese. May I ask why you shot at us? The Afghanistan person asked. I apologize. I just wanted to consult with you about something, but I was afraid you were terrorists, so I had no choice but to resort to this. Li Qingyue's hand never left the gun grip, indicating he was still somewhat wary of them. What do you want to ask? Do you know the stronghold of the 10 Rings Gang? The 10 Rings Gang? Yes, their symbol is 10 rings forming a circle. Do you know it? Just then, a government army member ran to that person's ear and whispered something. Then the Chinese-speaking government army member said, we have a map here that shows the approximate areas of various organizations. You can go and see for yourself. Saying that, he pulled out a map and threw it to Li Qingyue. Li Qingyue caught it smoothly and then said, thank you. I'm really sorry for damaging your tires. Behind that large rock, I left some supplies for you. Consider it my apology. After saying that, Li Qingyue left with the map. When the government army member heard this, he immediately took his subordinates and ran behind the large rock, finding more than a dozen boxes of mineral water, as well as canned fruit and canned meat. For them at that moment, being able to have a full meal was already very good. Meanwhile, Li Qingyue realized his current location was not ideal, as he had to pass through Taliban territory to reach the 10 Rings Gang's territory. But it didn't matter. He directly borrowed a Taliban jeep and drove it through the night, heading towards the 10 Rings Gang's territory. On the 10 Rings Gang's territory, a jeep sped along the road with flare. Suddenly, a checkpoint appeared on the road, and the jeep was stopped. An Asian young man stepped out, and he was Li Qingyue, who was looking for Tony Stark. Who are you, and what are you doing here? The terrorists at the checkpoint raised their AKs and shouted in the local language. Li Qingyue reluctantly raised his hands, pretending to be unthreatening and shouted, "Does anyone here speak English?" At that moment, a terrorist stepped out. Wearing sunglasses, he was extremely arrogant, a cigarette dangling from his lips as he sized up Li Qingyue. "Kid, where are you from? A reporter? An agent? Or a diplomat?" "No, I'm just here to find someone on behalf of another." "Are you the only one here who speaks English?" "That's right. After all, I've received a higher education, so of course, I speak English. That's good then. The next second, gunshots rang out. Li Qingyue fired with extreme speed, the bullets precisely entering their eye sockets and exiting the back of their heads. They fell directly to the ground, not even twitching. The terrorist who spoke English was so startled that his mouth fell open, and the cigarette he was holding dropped. Boss, I was wrong. Don't be afraid. You just need to answer a few questions, and I'll let you go. Of course, that's assuming you don't lie to me. Please ask. The terrorist stammered, trembling with fear. Looking at his appearance, Li Qingyue frowned and asked, "You're not a terrorist?" I am them. I've never seen a terrorist like you. You're too cowardly. Never mind. Tell me where Tony Stark, whom you kidnapped, is being held. Who? Tony Stark. Don't tell me you don't know him. I know, but I'm just a small fry. I have no idea where the playboy you're talking about was taken. The terrorist said in horror. So, you're not much use to me then? Li Qingyue said with a smile, but his hand was already slowly moving towards the gun holster at his waist. Boss, don't rush, please don't rush. Although I don't know, my father definitely knows. He's a high-ranking member of the 10 Rings gang. He must know. The man quickly said. Oh, is that so? Can you contact your father? Yes, definitely. Starting now, you have 1 minute to tell me Tony Stark's location. If you're slow, my bullets aren't picky, you know. As he spoke, Li Qingyue drew his gun and pressed it against his head. The terrorist, terrified, quickly pulled out his phone, fumbling to open it, then found his father's contact and dialed. As soon as it connected, Li Qingyue spoke. 30 seconds. The terrorist shouted something in the local language, and finally, after something was said on the other end of the phone, the terrorist quickly said in English, I know the location. Perfect timing. Looks like you've saved your life. But I have one condition. You dare to make a demand? Interesting. Since that's the case, tell me. I want you to take me back to America, and I need U.S. citizenship. The terrorist said. Why? I can work for you. I have 3 doctor degrees from MIT in engineering, physics, and computer science. I can. The terrorist didn't know what else to say. You're quite capable. But why did you come back to be a terrorist? Because of my father. He tricked me into coming back. When I returned, he realized how dangerous it was here. He didn't want me to be in danger, so he kept trying to find a way for me to leave here. But this place has been completely sealed off, so even illegal immigration isn't possible. And just now, I said you could take me to America, and that's why he agreed to tell me the location. All right then. Are you sure all your doctor degrees were earned through your own hard work and not cheating? No, absolutely not. All right then. As long as you lead me to Tony Stark, I guarantee I'll send you to America. Li Qingyue extended his hand to him. The terrorist breathed a sigh of relief, then reached out and gripped Li Qingyue's hand. With a pull from Li Qingyue, the terrorist was pulled to his feet. Oh, by the way, I still don't know your name. My name is Li Qingyue. You can just call me boss from now on. Boss, my name is Hank Kwaja. Okay, Hank, lead the way. Li Qingyue said with a smile. Then the two got into the jeep, and under Hank's guidance, after more than 10 hours of travel, they finally arrived near a cave stronghold at night. They parked the car about 1,000 meters from the cave. Boss, that's where Tony Stark is being held. Hank pointed to the light of the fire. Li Qingyue casually picked up his binoculars and looked over, finding that the environment inside the cave indeed resembled the place where Tony Stark was trapped. So he said to Hank, "You stay here and wait for my signal." What signal? When you hear the gunfire stop, look at me with the binoculars. When you see me wave, that's your signal to come over, understood? Hank nodded repeatedly. Then Li Qingyue took a deep breath, pulled bullets from his storage space, filled the empty slots on his gun belt, and strode towards the light of the fire. By the time the terrorists in the stronghold discovered Li Qingyue, they had just intended to pick up their guns to resist, but it was already too late, because Li Qingyue directly drew 2 guns, and the bullets, as if they had eyes, shot one by one towards their eyes. Meanwhile, the terrorists inside the cave who heard the gunfire rushed out with their guns, only to see bodies everywhere. Just as they were searching for Li Qingyue's shadow with their guns, Li Qingyue, behind a stone pillar, took a deep breath and immediately stepped out from cover, firing at the crowd. Bullets pierced through the first person's body and hit the second. Li Qingyue fired all 12 bullets, then ducked back behind the stone pillar. But this also gave the terrorists time to react. They immediately aimed their guns at the stone pillar and fired, but it was clear they hadn't received professional training as they all fired at once, so they would soon need to reload. Even if not everyone reloaded, only a small portion remained to spray bullets. Taking advantage of their reloading pause, Li Qingyue peered around his surroundings, then fired at a rock, hitting it at an odd angle, and the bullet ricocheted, hitting a terrorist. How is this possible? A bald terrorist shouted. Under the threat of death, their intelligence temporarily took over, and they actually understood how to use grenades. But they seemed unaware that Li Qingyue was a marksman, so Li Qingyue directly shot a grenade that had just had its safety pin pulled, and the exploding grenade directly killed the surrounding terrorists. Finally, Li Qingyue ran out of cover and shot at the remaining terrorists, eliminating them one by one. After dealing with the last terrorist, he stood by the light of the fire and waved towards Hank's position. Upon hearing the car engine, Li Qingyue then entered the cave and quickly found the room where Tony Stark was imprisoned. He shot the lock off the door, then kicked it open and shouted, "Tony Stark, you're free." "Who are you?" A man in a white tank top with a glowing arc reactor on his chest asked. "I was entrusted by Happy Hogan to rescue you. Oh, by the way, the reward this time is $10 million US. From what I know of Happy Hogan, he probably doesn't have that much money." While they were chatting, Hank rushed in and shouted, "Boss, a bunch of people have arrived outside. What do we do now?" Li Qingyue frowned slightly, not expecting reinforcements to arrive so quickly. He then said, "You two hide. I'll deal with them." With that, Li Qingyue walked out with flair. Tony Stark and the other person in the cave exchanged glances and quickened their pace. Seeing this, Hank went over to see what they were doing and found that they were uploading some kind of data, so he also helped out. After all, his 3 doctor degrees were not fake. Li Qingyue stood at the edge of the cave, slowly peeking out half his head to look, and found that there were nearly hundreds of people outside. They even had 3 patrol vehicles loaded with heavy machine guns, and all the muzzles were pointed at the cave exit, because this cave only had one exit. Li Qingyue, seeing such firepower, couldn't help but take a deep breath. After all, he possessed the gunslinger inheritance, but at the end of the day, he was just an ordinary person. Yet, facing such terrifying firepower, Li Qingyue not only wasn't afraid, but his adrenaline surged due to excitement, causing his body to tremble uncontrollably. "People inside, come out immediately, or we will start bombing." A voice sounded from outside the cave, but Li Qingyue ignored it and continued to observe. Finally, he found a way to break through. Li Qingyue suddenly appeared at the mouth of the cave, then drew his twin pistols and fired at the 3 patrol vehicles. The first bullet directly pierced their fuel tanks, and the second bullet ignited these 3 fuel tanks. Because Li Qingyue fired too quickly, by the time the fuel tanks caught fire, the terrorists only just reacted. They instinctively began to move away from the 3 patrol vehicles. Li Qingyue used the time they were fleeing to run outside. As he ran out, he continuously fired, reloaded, and fired. Within these dozen seconds, he had already fired more than 30 shots, and each shot accurately hit their heads. Coupled with the explosion of the patrol vehicles, in an instant, only half of the hundreds of people remained. Not only that, due to the violent explosion, the others were more or less injured. By the time they reacted and were about to fire, Li Qingyue appeared again and continued to shoot. In just 3 minutes, he had dealt with the last of the people. At this moment, a shadow rushed out of the cave, and he was Tony Stark, who had put on the Mark I. "You took care of all of them?" Tony Stark looked at the bodies strewn across the ground in surprise. He couldn't imagine how one person could defeat hundreds of people. "No, not yet." "Shh," Li Qingyue said softly, while making a shushing gesture to Tony Stark, then closed his eyes and slowly raised the gun in his hand, aiming it in a certain direction. Tony Stark at this moment followed the direction of the gun barrel and looked. Under the moonlight, a figure was frantically running towards a truck. As soon as he got into the vehicle, before he could even start it, a gunshot rang out, and a bullet passed through the glass, accurately hitting that person's head. "OMG!" Tony exclaimed. He never expected anyone's marksmanship to be so accurate. "You guys don't even say, 'What the F***CK, how pathetic,'" Li Qingyue said with a smile. He was really tired now, not physically, but mentally. He had to infinitely amplify his 5 senses to detect the enemy's position and dodge bullets in advance, like bullet time. But to achieve this level, he had to be fully focused, so his mental exhaustion was very severe. "Are you okay? You look like you're about to die." Tony Stark said somewhat flustered. "I'm fine, I'll be good after a short rest. There's food and water in the car. If you're hungry, just go eat. Also, one more thing, quickly notify your good friend to come pick you up. Li Qingyue found a spot and slowly leaned against the wall to sit down. Seeing this, Tony Stark immediately had Hank and another person remove the heavy armor from him. Then, the three of them searched the bodies and quickly found a mobile phone. Tony Stark took it and immediately contacted someone, telling the person on the other end of the phone their location before hanging up. You just said Happy entrusted you to come? That's right, Mr. Happy Hogan offered $1 million to save you and to personally hand you over to Miss Pepper Potts. Only then will my commission be completely finished. Also, he also participated in saving you, so you need to do one thing for him, get him a US citizen identity and safely send him to New York. Is that okay? Tony Stark looked at Hank beside him and said, no problem. Although this kid isn't as smart as me, he did help me a lot just now. Getting him a US citizen identity is extremely simple. He can also return to America with me. Ethan, what about you? I'll also leave with you. The other person said, and he could be said to be one of Tony Stark's life mentors, Dr. Ethan. Then Hank brought down some canned goods, biscuits, and clear water from the car. Seeing these, Dr. Ethan and Tony Stark also went over. First, they made a bonfire and placed the canned goods near it to heat them. They sat around eating biscuits and drinking clear water. After some unknown amount of time, the sound of a helicopter was heard. The four of them looked up and saw 4 armed helicopters flying towards their direction. Seeing this, Tony Stark quickly took out a flashlight and waved it. Soon, the helicopter stopped about 20 meters from their location, and then a black officer got off the helicopter and walked quickly towards Tony Stark. Tony Stark also walked towards the black officer. The black officer looked at Tony Stark's miserable state and said, having fun. Tony Stark gave a wry smile, and then the black officer stepped forward and patted him on the shoulder, saying, next time, you'll go with me, okay? Afterward, everyone returned to the local US base in America. As soon as they got off the plane there, a woman in professional attire looked at them with red eyes. Hello, Miss Pepper Potts, right? The woman heard someone call her, quickly lowered her head to adjust her emotions, then forced a reluctant smile and said, hello, I am Miss Pepper Potts. Hello, my name is Li Qingyue, you can also call me Ed Lee. I was commissioned by Mr. Happy Hogan to rescue Mr. Tony Stark and personally hand him over to you. Has my commission been completed now? Li Qingyue asked, looking at Pepper Potts. Your commission is complete. All right then, please sign your name, Ms. Pepper Potts. Li Qingyue flipped his hand, and a parchment scroll appeared in his hand. Everyone present was surprised because they remembered that Li Qingyue had nothing in his hand just now, and he was only wearing a short-sleeved shirt and casual pants, seemingly with no place to hide anything. Ms. Pepper Potts? Li Qingyue reminded, looking at the stunned Pepper Potts. Oh, okay. Pepper Potts, who had come back to her senses, quickly signed her name. As soon as her name was signed, the name immediately emitted an orange glow, and then the parchment scroll suddenly caught fire. Li Qingyue, unperturbed, threw it into the air, and the flames quickly completely burned the parchment scroll to ashes. Mr. Tony Stark, please inform Mr. Happy Hogan to transfer $1 million into my account today, otherwise the consequences for him will be a bit dire. Oh, by the way, this is my business card, you can find me if you need anything. After speaking, Li Qing distributed a business card to everyone present, then waved his hand and walked towards the base gate. Just then, a wind picked up, carrying yellow sand, making it difficult for everyone present to see clearly. When the sandstorm stopped, they suddenly realized that Li Qingyue's figure had completely disappeared, because at this moment he had already returned to the firm in Hell's Kitchen, and a gift box had already appeared on the table. This was the system's extra reward after completing the commission. Marvel Agency. Li Qingyue looked at the small gift box on the table, picked it up to examine it, then shook it vigorously, but heard no sound. He then slowly pulled open the ribbon, and the gift box automatically unfolded, revealing its contents, a card. Li Qingyue picked up the card and found a brief introduction on it. Equipment Upgrade Card. After use, it can upgrade the equipment owned by the host. Interesting, why not give it a try? Li Qingyue placed his twin pistols on the table, then used the equipment upgrade card on them. The next second, a flash of light passed, and the 2 silver pistols changed again. Golden patterns appeared on the gun bodies, and they also had new descriptions. Roland's pistols, 2 pistols forged from the broken sword of King Arthur's Excalibur. Phew, these actually directly became Roland's pistols. Interesting, truly interesting. Li Qingyue couldn't help but laugh, because these 2 Roland's pistols were the weapons used by the last gunslinger in the Dark Tower. Li Qingyue picked them up, ejected the bullets from the magazine, then flicked it hard, listening to the crisp sound of the magazine rotating. The smile on his face became increasingly hard to suppress. Just then, his phone chimed. He picked it up and saw that the $10 million had arrived. He immediately put the two guns into the holsters at his waist, and at the same time, put on a leather coat, completely concealing the holsters. Soon, he arrived at Old Jack's grocery store and pulled out his bank card, tapping it on the counter. Got money? Old Jack stood up and casually took out a brand new POS machine from the counter, swiping $100,000. At the same time, Old Jack also saw the remaining money on the card, and he was somewhat surprised. You earned $10 million in this trip. That's right, I told you, my business is very profitable. Li Qingyue raised an eyebrow at Old Jack. By the way, I have a commission here. See if you want to accept it. A commission? What commission? Whose? I can only tell you that this matter is very tricky. If you want to take it, I'll have someone go directly to you. Old Jack said indifferently. No problem, I'll take it. There's no commission our firm dares not to take. Li Qingyue said arrogantly. Good, I will tell the client your address. You just need to wait for the client to come to your door. Now scram. Li Qingyue shrugged, bought some food on the roadside, and returned to the firm. He also bought a mat, placed it in the corner, and then put the 2 eggs on the mat. Thanks to the simple renovation, the temperature inside the firm was kept at a constant 26 degrees Celsius, so these 2 eggs only needed to be placed here for 3 days and 3 nights to hatch. After placing the mat, Li Qingyue began to eat his lunch for the day. After eating and drinking his fill, just as he was about to rest, a knock on the door suddenly sounded. Come in. An old man, leaning on a cane, walked in. As soon as he entered, the old man went straight to the point. Does your place accept all kinds of commissions? You must be the client Old Jack mentioned. Please have a seat. Li Qingyue extended his hand, gesturing to the chair opposite him. The old man sat down and at the same time pulled out a card, saying, This is an unregistered Swiss bank card. It contains all my savings, a total of 10 million. I know it's not much, but this is all my savings. Old man, don't get excited yet. First, tell me about the matter you want to commission. Revenge. My son's entire family was killed by vampires. I want you to find that vampire and bring him to me. The old man said fiercely, his eyes filled with anger. Wait a moment, you said vampires? That's right. Here's a video of my son and his family being harmed, and also the appearance of those vampires. The old man took out a tablet, and at the same time, he tightly closed his eyes, unable to bear watching the video of his son's family being harmed again. But Li Qingyue didn't care. He opened the tablet, and there was a video on the desktop. He clicked on it directly and found it was surveillance footage. In the footage, a family of 5 was eating dinner when suddenly a group of people burst in. The male master reacted quickly, immediately drawing his gun and firing, but these people actually charged past the bullets to the dining table, then took off their masks. The man seemed to see something, his pupils suddenly constricted, wanting to say something, but this group of people directly bit the man's neck, continuously sucking his blood, then the woman, and even their 3 children were no exception. Soon, the family of 5 was sucked into corpses. Finally, that group of vampires looked around and happened to be caught on camera. There were 3 vampires in total, 2 males and 1 female. After Li Qingyue memorized their facial features, he said, So your commission is for me to capture these 3 vampires and hand them over to you for disposal, is that right? That's right. In that case, let's sign the commission agreement. Li Qingyue flipped his hand, and the familiar parchment scroll appeared. He signed his name on it, pressed the client's blood fingerprint, and then the parchment scroll spontaneously combusted and disappeared. Client, come back here to pick them up in 2 days. 2 days, is that right? That's right. Good, I hope you won't disappoint me. With that, the old man left, and Li Qingyue locked the firm's door, returning once again to Old Jack's grocery store. What is it now? Old Jack asked without lifting his head. Help me get some silver-plated bullets. You took that commission? Aren't you afraid of vampires? Joking me afraid of them? How could that be? How many rounds? 300 rounds. $1,000. Come back in 2 hours to pick them up. No problem. Li Qingyue swiped his card readily and left. Then he drove to a blacksmith shop. Is Uncle Nas here? Li Qingyue pushed open the blacksmith shop door and called out. Then a burly man over 2 meters tall, with bulging muscles, walked out. Just standing there, he exuded a sense of pressure. Li, why are you here? Hee, I'm here to ask for your help in forging a weapon. What weapon? Goose Quill Saber, ever heard of it? Li Qingyue said. Nas frowned, and after a while, said, I remember it now, a type of cold weapon popular in the Ming Dynasty, right? That's right. Help me forge one. While ensuring its hardness, add pure silver to it. Can you do that? Pure silver? That will compromise the quality of the saber, and it will be expensive. Are you going to deal with vampires? Yes, it's for dealing with vampires. When can it be ready at the earliest? Are you in a hurry? Because I have other orders on hand. Nas said. Quite urgent. Then come pick it up tonight. I'll expedite it for you. 10,000 US dollars. Okay, card payment. After paying, Li Qingyue left the blacksmith shop. Next, he needed to find the location of these 3 vampires. Since he couldn't use teleportation, Li Qingyue knew that these 3 vampires were in New York. It would just take some time to find them, but this was Hell's Kitchen, a place where gangs thrived, and also where information was most abundant. As long as you had money, you could even get the president's itinerary. Immediately, Li Qingyue went to a bar, found the bartender, and placed a $100 bill on the counter, saying, I'm looking for 3 people. No problem, detailed locations will cost 50,000 US dollars per person. The bartender took the $100 US and said. Li Qingyue then handed the bartender the images of the 3 vampires from the surveillance video. The bartender looked at them and said, at 8 o'clock tonight, someone will place the real-time locations of these 3 people at your door. Please pay 150,000 US dollars. Li Qingyue swiped his card directly, then got up and left. Now he just needed to wait until evening to get all his equipment and the locations of those 3 vampires. As night fell, Li Qingyue, having acquired the necessary equipment and information, began the mission. Riding a dilapidated motorcycle, he parked it in front of a bar, which was the location of the 3 vampires. Of course, the intelligence peddlers didn't know these 3 were vampires. They just assumed they were ordinary people. After all, this intelligence organization was backed by an entity that could be called the U.S. Beggars Guild. All the homeless, beggars, and vagrants across America were considered members. As long as they provided information to the organization, they would receive payment once the information was used. Because of this, the intelligence organization possessed information that could even rival that held by the entire U.S. government. Looking at the bar before him, Li Qingyue didn't hesitate. He walked directly to the door, and just as he was about to push it open, a voice sounded behind him. If I were you, I wouldn't push that door open. Li Qingyue turned around and saw a figure slowly emerge from the shadow. He had a katana strapped to his back, wore black leather attire, and underneath, an armor-like suit. He also had 2 micro-submachine guns on each thigh. Blade. You know me. Of course, I'm the owner of a firm. I think we might have opportunities to work together. Do you know what kind of place that is inside? A vampire nest, I know. My client requires me to capture 3 vampires from here, so the other vampires are yours to deal with. I need to take the 3 vampires, but I can assure you, their fate will be no less miserable than the ones you deal with. Good. Then let's go in together. With that, Li Qingyue pushed open the door. Inside the bar, rousing music was playing, and a crowd of people were wildly swaying their heads to the rhythm. Suddenly, the fire sprinklers began to spray an unknown liquid. Seeing this, Li Qingyue quickly pulled out an umbrella to completely block the liquid. Hey, those 3 over there are my targets for this mission. Keep an eye on them, all right? Li Qingyue pointed to the vampires in the corner, who were sprawled over 3 women. Blade didn't speak. Instead, he pulled out the submachine guns from his thighs, aimed at the vampires before him, and opened fire, the silver-plated bullets fiercely reaping their lives. By the time the vampires reacted, only a dozen or so remained out of the 40 to 50 vampires present. Those who survived were mostly stronger vampires, especially given the bulletproof material of their clothes. While it couldn't negate the impact of the bullets, it prevented penetration, which was enough. A red glow flashed in their eyes, and they roared as they charged at the 2. I really didn't want to do this, Li Qingyue said coldly. The next second, gunshots rang out, and bullets directly penetrated their so-called bulletproof vests, killing 1 vampire. Blade looked at Li Qingyue with a hint of surprise, then tossed his gun aside, drew his katana, and charged at them. The other 3 vampires also rushed over. Li Qingyue, fearing Blade might kill them, kicked all 3 of them away. At the same time, he fired at the remaining vampires, quickly killing 11 of them. He then swiped his gun across the bullet belt at his waist, reloading it with ordinary bullets specifically for suppressing the 3 vampires. Soon, Blade also dealt with his enemies. In the end, only the 3 vampires Li Qingyue needed remained in the entire bar. "The rest is up to you to handle," Li Qingyue said. Blade nodded. Li Qingyue then shot each of the 3 vampires in the head to ensure they wouldn't regain consciousness quickly, then bound them with chains. He then dragged them all the way back to the firm. By the time they returned to the firm, the flesh on their backs had been worn away, leaving only visible bones and internal organs. Li Qingyue casually tossed them into a corner, then fed them some blood bags to ensure they wouldn't die immediately. After that, he paid them no more mind and contacted his client. "Hello, this is Marvel Agency. Your request has been completed. Please come over as soon as possible." "All right." An old man's voice came from the other end of the phone. A moment later, the sound of a car braking echoed, and then the old man pushed the door open and walked in. Upon seeing the 3 vampires in the corner, his body trembled violently, and his breathing became difficult. Li Qingyue quickly went over. "Calm down. You don't want to die before getting your revenge, do you? Calm down, take a deep breath." Under Li Qingyue's persuasion, the old man calmed down. He looked at the 3 vampires, instructed the people behind him to take them away, and then asked, "Silver can kill them, right?" "Yes. This is your payment." The old man handed over a bank card. Li Qingyue took it directly, then pulled out a parchment scroll and tossed it into the air. Instantly, the parchment scroll spontaneously combusted and vanished. After the old man left, a gift box appeared on the table. Li Qingyue walked over, opened it, and a card floated up inside. Li Qingyue picked it up and saw a human figure on the card, with a completely black figure behind it. Demi-human physique, upon use, grants demi-human physique, requires 1 death to activate. Li Qingyue raised an eyebrow. He never expected it to be this physique. Without a second thought, he used it because with the demi-human physique, he could afford to take risks. As the card transformed into a streak of light and entered his body, Li Qingyue felt as if something had been added to his body, yet also as if nothing had changed. He slowly exhaled, then aimed the gun at himself. After a long while, he still couldn't make up his mind. After all, this was about killing himself. Even though Li Qingyue had killed many people, that was killing others, not himself. After a long while, Li Qingyue raised the gun again. This time, he decided not to give himself a chance to think. He raised the gun and fired. The bullet directly penetrated his head. A life flashing before eyes sensation began, and feeling his life gradually ebb away, Li Qingyue lay completely still on the ground. Suddenly, Li Qingyue abruptly regained consciousness. His demi-human physique had been activated. Aside from the bloodstains on his body, all other traces had vanished. "Phew, this feeling is really unpleasant," Li Qingyue said faintly. At the same time, a dark ghost appeared behind him. These ghosts resembled figures wrapped in countless bandages. They were completely transparent, so humans couldn't see them unless they were highly emotional or Li Qingyue summoned them with killing intent. Otherwise, ordinary humans couldn't perceive their presence. Furthermore, because Li Qingyue's body didn't contain much IBM substance, the dark ghosts could only be summoned for 8 minutes at a time, and only twice a day. However, this was already sufficient. With the demi-human physique, at least his safety was guaranteed. Marvel Agency. Since completing the 3 vampire commissions, Li Qingyue hadn't received a single commission for 2 weeks, and he was now completely living off his savings, which greatly troubled him. Of course, what troubled him most wasn't the lack of commissions, but the 2 creatures in front of him. Remember the 2 eggs he got at the beginning? They had hatched, and what emerged were Tom and Jerry, the 2 most famous characters in animation. Yes, the 2 from Tom and Jerry. They caused trouble and courted death every day. The most infuriating thing was that they were immortal and indestructible. No matter how much they courted death, they would never truly die. Fortunately, the firm was self-repairing, otherwise this firm would have long disappeared from this world. "Alright, you two, stop messing around and go watch TV. Remember, this is the last TV. If it breaks again, I won't buy you another one." Li Qingyue shouted at the brawling cat and mouse. Tom and Jerry exchanged glances, then immediately ran towards the television. In an instant, they transformed into a blue and brown tornado, quickly arriving at the sofa and simultaneously reaching out to touch the remote control. Jerry liked to watch cooking shows, while Tom preferred shows with beautiful women, so they would always fight over it, and whoever won got to decide what they watched. Thanks to them still being in their infancy, They hadn't unlocked many abilities, only immortality, unlimited strength, speed, and creation. However, this was enough to turn the world upside down. So, the battle that erupted when they fought for the remote control was enough to destroy a building. In the end, only after Li Qingyue intervened to suppress them did they settle down and watch cartoons peacefully. Looking at them, Li Qingyue couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. Hearing his sigh, Tom and Jerry also couldn't help but turn to look at Li Qingyue. "It's nothing, you two continue watching," Li Qingyue waved his hand. The two little ones continued to watch the cartoon. Li Qingyue sighed again, rubbing the bridge of his nose, but if they weren't brawling, they wouldn't be Tom and Jerry. Before long, they started fighting over the remote control again. First, Jerry switched the channel to his favorite cooking show, then while Jerry was absorbed, Tom snatched the remote control and switched to his favorite fashion show. Then Jerry, while Tom was absorbed, snatched the remote control back. After going back and forth like this more than a dozen times, the TV actually started smoking, and then the screen went black. Li Qingyue sighed even more when he saw it, because normally, a TV wouldn't have such an issue even after switching channels hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of times. Yet, Tom and Jerry broke it after only a dozen times, which made Li Qingyue very helpless, not to mention they had already broken dozens of similar TVs before this. Suddenly, Li Qingyue felt someone pulling his pants. He looked down and saw a pathetic Jerry, looking at Li Qingyue with its teary, big eyes. Anyone else, under such an assault, would probably feel pity for them, but Li Qingyue had fallen for this trick over a dozen times and was now immune. He snorted coldly and turned his head away from Jerry again. Seeing that his pitiful look was useless, Jerry angrily went behind Tom, who was sleeping in his nest, and kicked him away. Just as Tom was furious and about to retaliate, Jerry beckoned to him. Tom lowered his head in confusion, and then only saw Jerry mumbling something in his ear. The more Tom listened, the brighter his eyes became. Then he nodded frantically, and immediately the two little ones ran onto Li Qingyue's desk, staring at Li Qingyue with their pitiful big eyes. Alright, seriously, I really owe you two. I'll buy you 2 more TVs, one for each of you, for the last time. Don't fight over them anymore, understood?" Li Qingyue said helplessly, slapping his forehead. Seeing this, the two little ones jumped onto Li Qingyue's shoulders and gave Li Qingyue a big kiss on the cheek. Li Qingyue casually grabbed Tom, placed him on his lap, and began petting him, while also contacting old Jack via the landline to buy 2 televisions. Soon after, the televisions were delivered by old Jack. "Ed, the TVs are here. Did your TV break again?" Old Jack kicked open the firm's door. Behind him followed a brawny man over 2 meters tall, like a brown bear, holding 2 boxes. "Yes, please help me set them up," Li Qingyue said from his boss's chair. "Tank, go help him set them up." "Yes, boss," the brawny man behind old Jack said in his deep voice. Soon, Tank, with a speed that belied his size, assembled the TVs and even turned them on to test them. And when the TVs were turned on, Tom and Jerry had already rushed out, snatching the remote controls from Tank's hands at an extremely fast speed and switching to their favorite shows. "They are?" Old Jack asked curiously, looking at Tom and Jerry. "My pets, quite intelligent with a tiny bit of special ability." Old Jack nodded thoughtfully, then left with Tank. "Alright, now you each have a TV, don't cause any more trouble for me, otherwise I'll lock you up." However, Tom and Jerry were already engrossed in the TV shows and completely ignored Li Qingyue. Just then the doorbell rang, and a woman walked in. "Hello, is this the Marvel Agency?" "Yes, is there a commission?" Li Qingyue quickly stood up and asked. "Do you really accept any commission here?" the woman asked cautiously. "Of course, please tell me your request." Li Qingyue motioned for the woman to sit down and spoke. After the woman sat down and was about to speak, Li Qingyue suddenly sensed something, immediately pulled out his gun, and fired. The woman was startled and was about to curse when Li Qingyue placed a hand on the table, then came to the woman's side, pushing her down. The next second, a bullet hit the spot where the woman had just been sitting. "Guest, it seems you've gotten into big trouble." After saying that, Li Qingyue began to pull out another gun and fired frantically towards the door. Each bullet collided with another sniper rifle bullet, which made the assassin feel incredibly surprised, not expecting a pistol to be able to block sniper rifle bullets. However, the assassin also knew that this assassination attempt had failed, so he made a decisive decision, placed the gun in the box, and at the same time, threw a grenade into the box, then turned and grabbed a rope, sliding directly down to the floor below. With the explosion, all evidence was destroyed, and Li Qingyue and the woman also saw the black smoke produced by the explosion. Now, guest, you can tell me your request. Li Qingyue put away his pistol and looked directly at the woman, asking. Li Qingyue looked at the woman in front of him and said calmly, "Customer, you can tell me your request now." The woman was silent for a long while before speaking. "I offended someone, so I want you to take action." "Kill him." Li Qingyue interrupted the woman and asked. But to her surprise, the woman shook her head repeatedly in terror. No, I don't want you to kill him. I just want you to help me negotiate with him and spare my family's lives. Can you do that?" "Oh, I see. Honestly, customer, listen to me. It's better to just kill them once and for all." No, I just want to negotiate." Li Qingyue sighed helplessly after hearing this. "Since it's your request, of course, I can do it. How much is the reward?" "I only have $100,000 here. Is that acceptable?" "Why don't you first tell me who this person is, customer?" Li Qingyue didn't answer but instead asked who the woman had offended. "Kingpin." "Kingpin? Have you researched him, customer?" Li Qingyue asked curiously. The woman nodded cautiously and whispered, "I have." "Since you've researched him, customer, you should know how vast his influence is. He's known as the Underground King of New York, and his illicit business extends throughout America, even touching upon foreign countries. If you want me to negotiate with him, $100,000 doesn't seem to be enough," Li Qingyue said, leaning back in his chair. "I also have a crystal skull at home. This is a treasure left by my grandpa. Can this be used as collateral?" "A crystal skull? What's your grandpa's name?" Li Qingyue asked, frowning tightly. "Dr. Indiana Jones. You know my grandpa?" "I've heard of him. If it's a genuine crystal skull, along with the $100,000, I can accept this commission." With that, Li Qingyue, as usual, took out the parchment scroll and the ink pad. As the woman signed her name, she pressed her thumb into the ink pad, only to be pricked by a small, hidden thorn. Li Qingyue quickly urged her to press her blood-stained thumb down. The woman looked at the strange scene, but eventually pressed her thumb down. Then Li Qingyue stood up and said to the woman, "Come with me. I'll take you to see Kingpin. Tom, Jerry, I'm going out for a bit. You two stay put and don't wander off." "Going now." "What else? Kingpin and I are acquainted. You should give me some face. Let's go. With me here, I can absolutely guarantee your safety." Watching Li Qingyue's confident expression, the woman, as if possessed, followed Li Qingyue onto his motorcycle and headed towards Kingpin's territory. Soon, the car stopped beneath Wilson Tower, and the woman, looking at the building in front of her, stammered, Aren't we going to find Kingpin? Why are we here?" "Because Wilson Fisk is Kingpin. Let's go." Li Qingyue parked the car randomly, unafraid that someone would steal his vehicle. After all, this was Kingpin's territory, and no one dared to cause trouble. At this moment, the woman was still immersed in the shocking news that Wilson Fisk was Kingpin when suddenly a Hummer stopped behind the two of them. A bald man with a toothpick in his mouth stepped out. The man had a target tattoo in the center of his forehead. "Yo, isn't this the boss of the Marvel Agency? Why are you so free to come here today? And you even brought our prey?" "Bullseye, I'm here to see your boss. Don't force me to make a move." Li Qingyue glanced at Bullseye. Upon hearing this, Bullseye's smile instantly froze, and a steel nail appeared in his hand at some unknown point. Just as he was about to make a move, a man in a sharp suit with an elegant demeanor walked out. "Mr. Ed Lee, Mr. Fisk invites you." "Bullseye, the boss said that on his territory, unless he gives the order, you are not to act rashly." Seeing the man in front of him, Bullseye became all smiles again, and the steel nail in his hand disappeared. How could I? How could I make a move?" "Let's go, ignore him," Li Qingyue said indifferently, not at all afraid that Bullseye would shoot him in the back. Soon they arrived at the top floor. As a heavy steel door opened, it revealed the office inside, and that massive figure. "May I ask what the boss of the Marvel Agency is doing here?" Kingpin raised his head, and an oppressive aura from the Underground King instantly pressed down on the two. The woman was startled by this sudden surge of power and froze in place. Seeing this, Li Qingyue immediately stood in front of the woman, blocking the oppressive aura released by Kingpin. "Alright, stop scaring people. This time, I'm here at the request of this customer to negotiate with you," Li Qingyue said, waving his hand. "Then do you know why she wants to negotiate with me?" Kingpin asked with a sneer. Li Qingyue shook his head. "I don't know, and I don't want to know. I just want to know how you can negotiate with her. You helped me once unconditionally. Okay, but besides asking me to sacrifice my life or demanding my possessions, I will help you once unconditionally with other matters. Li Qingyue agreed directly. Straightforward. In that case, I will inform my subordinates that her bounty has been lifted. Kingpin stood up and said, "Let's go, the matter is resolved." Just like that. What else? Are you still thinking I'll have a big fight with him and then threaten him with his life? Don't be ridiculous. For me, it's about completing the commission as quickly as possible. As for what was paid, we can talk about that later. Just like that, the two left in a hurry, while Kingpin watched their retreating figures, a slight smile playing on his lips. After returning to the firm and confirming that Kingpin had lifted the bounty, the woman had her family bring the crystal skull. When the money and the crystal skull were handed over to Li Qingyue conjured the parchment scroll. As he threw it into the air, the parchment scroll spontaneously combusted and disappeared. Seeing this, the woman hurriedly left. Li Qingyue then placed the crystal skull on the shelf behind him. He had no immediate plans to deal with the crystal skull, as once he left, he didn't know how long it would take to return. If he missed a commission during his absence, he'd have nowhere to cry. At the same time, a gift box also appeared on the table, and its appearance attracted the attention of Tom and Jerry. Before Li Qingyue could touch the gift box, the two little ones immediately ran onto the table and began to snatch at the ribbon on the gift box. As the two little ones pulled hard, the ribbon came loose, and the gift box opened, revealing a shuriken inside. The two little ones simultaneously reached out to grab it. Li Qingyue quickly shouted to stop them, but it was still too late. The moment the two little ones touched the shuriken, a dazzling white light appeared, forcing Li Qingyue to close his eyes. When he recovered, he found Tom and Jerry facing each other in new clothes, and Li Qingyue was very familiar with their outfits. "Oh my god, Uchiha Tom and Senju Jerry, what is going on?" Li Qingyue subconsciously exclaimed. At this moment, Uchiha Tom's eyes transformed into the Mangekyo Sharingan, and a purple skeletal structure appeared around his body. On the other side, Senju Jerry was not to be outdone. He clapped his hands, and a giant rat made of wood slowly rose from the ground. Just as it was about to burst through the firm, Li Qingyue quickly shouted for the two youngsters to stop. "Enough! Both of you, stop!" Hearing Li Qingyue's words, the two youngsters stopped, but their sharp gazes continued to lock. "Change back." The two youngsters' bodies gradually rippled, and then they reverted to their original forms. Li Qingyue opened their data panels and found that the two youngsters had grown to their juvenile stage, leaving infancy, and had acquired their first profession, ninja. "How long can you stay as ninjas?" Li Qingyue asked, looking at them. Tom and Jerry exchanged glances, then simultaneously extended their hands, but Tom held out 4 fingers while Jerry held out 3. Li Qingyue watched them expressionlessly. The two youngsters also realized something was wrong and quickly looked at each other, then immediately changed the fingers they extended, resulting in Tom holding out 3 fingers and Jerry holding out 4. Li Qingyue rubbed his forehead and looked down, saying, "I'll give you one last chance." "How long?" Seeing that Li Qingyue seemed to be getting angry, the two youngsters quickly extended all their fingers. Li Qingyue saw that they could transform for 10 minutes. "Can this transformation time be extended?" The two youngsters nodded, then started chattering away. Li Qingyue couldn't understand what they were saying, but he could grasp their meaning. Although somewhat chaotic, he understood that their transformation time could lengthen with growth, and they could even maintain the transformed state indefinitely once they reached adulthood. "Not bad, but you can't transform without my permission, understood?" Jerry mumbled a few words under his breath. Upon hearing this, Tom obsequiously ran to Li Qingyue's side to tell on him. Seeing this, Jerry quickly pulled out a large black hammer with a T written on it, then swung it at Tom's head. Tom was instantly hammered into a deep pit. Li Qingyue was already used to this and didn't bother to stop them. By the time Tom climbed out, the deep pit had vanished. Tom also conjured a hammer, and the two youngsters began chasing each other. Finally, Jerry ran onto Tom's television, which forced Tom to stop, as the two youngsters still remembered Li Qingyue's warning. These 2 televisions were their last ones. So the two youngsters exchanged glances, tacitly tiptoeing cautiously away from the area. But as soon as they left the vicinity of the television, they started fighting each other again. Li Qingyue had become immune to the commotion they made. Suddenly, the door opened, and Hank Huajia walked in with a smiling face. "Why, it's you, lad. Where have you been all this time?" "Hee, boss, Tony brought me to America, but because of my identity, even if Tony brought me in, an investigation was unavoidable." I was only recently released, and as soon as I got out, I came to seek refuge with you. Oh, and boss, to avoid unnecessary trouble, I also changed my name. Now I'm called Walter O'Brien Waja. From now on, boss, you can just call me Walter. Whatever, do you have a place to live? Li Qingyu asked. Walter shook his head and ingratiatingly said, No, I don't even have a single penny, so boss, could you perhaps pay me a month's salary in advance? Take it. There's $100,000 here. See what equipment you need to buy. I remember you have 3 doctor degrees, right? From now on, you'll be the logistics manager for the firm. Thank you, boss. No sooner had Walter finished speaking than Jerry ran onto his shoulder. Before Walter could react, a large blue and white cat's paw, wielding a large hammer, flew through the air and slammed down heavily onto Walter. Walter didn't have time to dodge and instinctively raised his hands to block in front of him. Finally, with a thud, Walter swayed like a drunkard, and a cartoon-like dizziness effect appeared above his head, with 4 or 5 small stars revolving around Walter's head. Hee, boss, there are little stars. Walter said like an idiot before fainting. Tom and Jerry also stopped. Seeing the unconscious Walter, they knew they had caused trouble and quickly carried Walter to the sofa where they watched television. Then they came before Li Qingyu, obediently lowering their heads, looking like they were admitting their mistake. Go to the corner and face the wall in contemplation, 1 corner each until Walter wakes up. Although the 2 youngsters wanted to say something, seeing the angry Li Qingyu, they could only pout and go to separate corners to face the wall in contemplation. After an unknown amount of time, Walter finally regained consciousness. As soon as he woke up, he saw Li Qingyu eating, and not only him, but the 2 culprits who had caused him to faint were also eating. You're awake. Come and eat quickly, and then I'll take you to buy the equipment you need later. Oh. Walter nodded in response, then sat for a while longer as if clearing his mind, before coming to the only table and picking up a hamburger to eat. Boss, are they? My pets. Don't underestimate them. Their combat power is comparable to the strongest army in the world. However, their personalities are a bit mischievous, but you don't need to worry. The harm they cause you in such situations is not fatal. At most, it will only make you faint. Ugh. Walter had no idea what to say. After they had eaten their fill, Li Qingyu told the 2 youngsters to guard the house, then took Walter to Old Jack's grocery store. You're here. What do you want to buy this time? Old Jack saw Li Qingyu enter, glanced at him, then lowered his head and asked. Walter surveyed the grocery store, looked at Li Qingyu, and signaled with his eyes. Boss, are you sure there's anything I need here? Go ahead, you can tell Old Jack anything you want. There's nothing he can't get. Helpless, Walter could only rattle off a string of technical terms. Old Jack listened and then said, except for the supercomputer, which is a bit troublesome, everything else will arrive tomorrow. Excluding the supercomputer, these miscellaneous items total $550,000. Swipe your card. That expensive? This is already cheap. Do you want it or not? Li Qingyu looked at Walter, who scratched his head awkwardly. All right, deliver it to the building next to the firm tomorrow. I've already bought it. Oh, is that supercomputer very important? The last question was directed at Walter. Walter thought for a moment and said, It's quite important. All right then, Old Jack, can you get the supercomputer? Yes, but it will cost $20 million, and that's just my estimate. It might be even more expensive. Are you sure you need it? Confirmed. And while you're at it, have your subordinates set up a base according to my employees' requirements. Li Qingyu said grandly. Old Jack looked up and extended his hand to Li Qingyu. Li Qingyu painfully pulled out a card. With a ding, the money in his card instantly shrank by more than half. He clutched Walter's collar heartbrokenly and left. The next day, Old Jack arrived at the house next to the firm with tank and a renovation team. This building was only 4 or 5 stories high, a type of apartment building. Since it could no longer operate, its master had put it up for sale. Li Qingyu saw it and spent some money to buy the building, intending to use it as employee dorms in the future. After all, the firm couldn't possibly rely solely on him to complete commissions. If so, he wouldn't get any rest for a year. So, hiring people was a certainty, and since the firm didn't have many rooms, another building was needed for employee dorms. Thump, thump, thump. The sudden sound of wall demolition woke Tom and Jerry from their deep sleep. Both of them had quite the temper when woken up, so they immediately pulled out a giant firework and aimed it at the construction workers. Just then, Li Qingyu was also awakened by the noise. As he walked downstairs, he saw the 2 and quickly shouted, "Stop! but it was still a step too late. However, Li Qingyue's shouts were heard by the construction workers. They turned their heads to see a giant firework flying towards them. They didn't even have time to dodge, and the firework, unfortunately, hit the foreman, directly. With the explosion, Watt's front was completely blackened, but his back was unaffected. And for some reason, Watt suddenly opened his mouth, a wisp of black smoke rose from it, and then he collapsed, unconscious. Old Jack and Tank were dumbfounded until Li Qingyue appeared, grabbed Watt, and said, "You guys keep working, he's fine." Then, in front of them, he returned to the firm. Old Jack took a while to recover, then told the renovation workers, "Continue. You too, didn't I tell you not to lay hands on ordinary people?" Li Qingyue said, poking their small heads with his finger. But the two small ones complained tearfully. Li Qingyue knew it was indeed very annoying to be woken up by the renovation noise, but he had no choice but to comfort them. Finally, he made an exception and let them sleep in his room, as his room was very soundproof. At the same time, Li Qingyue threw Watt onto the sofa and then went out to buy breakfast. When Watt woke up, he first looked around blankly, then recalled how he had ended up in this state. Just then, the door was pushed open, and a man walked in. As soon as he entered, he loudly shouted, "Is Ed Lee here? Are you looking for our boss? He doesn't seem to be here. Do you have a commission?" Watt quickly stood up and asked, "Who are you?" "I'm an employee here. Tell your boss his favor is due." With that, the man pulled out a business card, flicked it casually, and the card embedded itself directly into the table, leaving Watt stunned. By the time he reacted, the man had already disappeared. Another half an hour passed, and Li Qingyue walked in carrying a pile of bags. Seeing Watt awake, he said, "Go wash your face quickly, then come eat breakfast." Boss, someone just came. He said it's time for you to repay a favor, and then he flicked a business card towards the table. Guess what? That paper business card actually embedded itself into the table. Wow, does he have superpowers, or is he a martial arts master? Watt was chattering away, but Li Qingyue ignored him, as he seemed to know who the visitor was. He walked over, pulled out the business card and said, "Don't eat, come with me." Watt was stunned. Then Li Qingyue grabbed the back of his collar and pulled him away again. Soon, the two arrived at Wilson Tower, reaching the top floor without any obstruction. "Kingpin, you need my favor so soon?" Li Qingyue pushed open the door and went straight to the point. However, as soon as he entered, he was dumbfounded, because the office contained not only Kingpin, Bullseye, and Kingpin's butler, but also a boy. "Ed, I need you to help me rescue Vanessa," Kingpin said, looking at Li Qingyue from his seat. "Vanessa? Tell me more. Who is the enemy?" "The Golden Triangle Overlord, Misha. He orchestrated Vanessa's capture, wanting to get my client resources from me. I need you to help me rescue Vanessa, and at the same time, during this period, help me look after my son, Richard Fisk." "That's no problem, but this Misha..." "Boss, I found him. Misha is the Golden Triangle's largest warlord and drug lord. He controls 80% of the opium cultivation in the Golden Triangle. It can be said that he supplies almost 60% of the world's drugs. He is blacklisted in all countries. He has a force of 30,000 troops under his command and possesses various heavy weapons. His scale is even capable of fighting a country to a standstill. Most importantly, he has two body doubles. These two doubles have undergone plastic surgery and look exactly like him. No one knows which one is the real him." Watt held up his phone, introducing and showing Li Qingyue the warlord's information. "Where did you get this information?" "The FBI database," Watt said with a smile. "Good, sign your name." Li Qingyue conjured a parchment scroll and an ink pad out of thin air. Kingpin signed his name without hesitation and pressed the ink pad. What he didn't expect was that his tough skin would be pricked by the small sharp points hidden inside the ink pad, but he still pressed his thumbprint. As the signature and thumbprint glowed with an eerie orange light, Li Qingyue put away the parchment scroll and said, "Prepare a plane for me." "Only one plane? That's enough. You kid, come with me." The boy looked at Kingpin. Kingpin stood up, stroked his head and said, "Richard, go with him. He won't harm you." The boy nodded, then obediently went to Li Qingyue's side. "I'll settle him first. Send someone to pick me up in an hour." "All right." Then the three returned to the firm. As soon as they opened the door, they saw Jerry and Tom feasting. "Brother, can I play with them?" Richard's eyes lit up when he saw Tom and Jerry. "Yes, Tom, Jerry, you two protect him well. If anyone tries to harm him, I permit you to go all out, understood?" Tom and Jerry turned around, wearing police hats and uniforms, and saluted Li Qingyue. Seeing their comical appearance, Richard became even happier and reached out to grab Jerry, but how could Jerry let a boy catch him? If it were a girl, it might allow itself to be petted, but a boy, no thanks. So it dodged directly. Unable to catch Jerry, Richard had no choice but to switch targets. Tom, however, was open to all comers. Richard stroked him, and he continued to eat his breakfast unperturbed. What? While I'm away, you'll be responsible for taking commissions. But tell them I'm not here and they'll have to wait a while, okay? Understood, boss. Just leave this to me. Li Qingyue nodded. Just then, the people Kingpin sent arrived. Li Qingyue took his equipment and set off. In the Golden Triangle, a helicopter slowly lowered its altitude, and at the same time a rope was thrown down. Then a figure grabbed the rope and slid down quickly. That person was Li Qingyue, who came to rescue Vanessa. After the helicopter left, Li Qingyue took out a map, confirmed the direction, and started moving forward. On the other side, on the top floor of Wilson Building, Bullseye asked Kingpin, "Boss, are you sure Ed can really rescue Vanessa? We must have confidence in him. I can't think of any other good way. Do we really have to hand over the customers we have been serving for many years?" Jean Bing said angrily, "Boss, calm down, but I think it's better to make preparations for both scenarios. You're right. Find a way to capture all the people belonging to Misha in our territory. Since he wants war, I will give him a war." Jean Bing said with a gloomy face. Never underestimate Jean Bing's power. He has his own power all over the world. Not only that, the social network behind him is even more complicated, and it involves many high-level people from various countries. It is precisely because of this that he has quite a few enemies. If he really launches an all-out war, he is fully capable of triggering World War III. This is no joke. Kingpin's power is so terrifying, otherwise the American top leaders would not allow Kingpin to be so rampant. They have not taken action against him because they have no way to deal with the impact of dealing with Kingpin. Having said that, Li Qingyue, with his super physical fitness, finally arrived outside Misha's military camp when night fell. This was just one of Misha's military camps. After all, his opium plantations were spread throughout the entire Golden Triangle. In order to ensure that his plantations would not be affected, his military camps were also spread everywhere. However, the number of regular soldiers in a garrison is also over 1,000, and each military camp has almost a platoon of tanks and 4 or 5 armed helicopters. This is enough to prevent the warlords in the entire Golden Triangle from arbitrarily going to war with them. Li Qingyue stood on a towering tree outside the military camp. With his super eyesight and night vision ability, he could clearly see the distribution of troops in the entire military camp. After everything was ready, Li Qingyue did not use Roland's pistol, but took out 2 Glock 17 pistols equipped with silencers. After all, Roland's pistol could not be equipped with or without silencers. The hunt has begun. Li Qingyue jumped lightly and fell freely from the towering tree. At the moment he was about to land, his body leaned forward and rolled forward to relieve the force brought by the impact of the fall. Of course, if an ordinary person did this, his legs would probably still be broken, but Li Qingyue had undergone 3 strengthening exercises, so for him, this was almost the same as an ordinary person jumping off a 30-centimeter step. Soon Li Qingyue continued to advance under the cover of night, during which time he also dealt with the various sentries hidden in the jungle. But Li Qingyue didn't know that the secret sentry needed to report his situation every once in a while to avoid the current situation. So when no one responded from the secret sentry, the military camp immediately sounded the alarm, and all the searchlights were turned on and began to search 360 degrees. Seeing this, Li Qingyue no longer hid. He took out his 2 pistols and aimed at the searchlights and fired. With his extremely fast trigger speed, he quickly shot down all the searchlights. However, others also saw Li Qingyue's position with the help of the firelight and immediately began to suppress him with fire. But Li Qingyue began to dodge the bullets with his super fast speed, and fought back while dodging, and soon killed the soldier on the sentry post. Even the soldiers who were shooting below could only hear the screams of their teammates, followed by the sound of corpses falling. This frightened some of them and they shouted, "There's a sniper! There's a sniper!" All the soldiers began to look for cover, which gave Li Qingyue a chance to catch his breath. But Li Qingyue felt that this was not enough, so he pointed the gun directly at his own head. As the bullet was fired, Li Qingyue died, but his subhuman physique allowed him to revive instantly, and his body returned to its peak state. Then he started the killing state again. especially his elusive shooting skills, using various hard objects to make bullets ricochet, thereby hitting enemies hiding behind cover. After almost half of the people died, the surviving soldiers came to their senses and rushed to drive tanks and attack helicopters. They had lived a comfortable life for too long and even forgot how to fight. But now, under the stimulation of blood, the madness hidden in their blood has been aroused. But even if they drove tanks and armed helicopters, they were no match for Li Qingyue. Roland's pistol had extremely strong penetrating power and could easily penetrate even the armor of a tank, not to mention the armor of an armed helicopter. It took a whole hour, and Li Qingyue finally cleared out the entire military camp, leaving only the commander of the camp. But Li Qingyue did not do it without paying a price. His body was covered with scars and blood as he walked towards the commander step by step. The commander was so scared that he peed himself. This feeling is really unpleasant. Li Qingyue muttered, then pointed the gun at himself. As the gunshot rang out, Li Qingyue committed suicide again, but he soon resurrected and walked towards him again in the commander's incredulous gaze. "Tell me where Vanessa is, or I'll torture you bit by bit." The commander was silent for a while, and tremblingly told Li Qingyue the address. Then Li Qingyue turned and left. However, at the moment of leaving the barracks, he fired a shot without looking back. The bullet accurately hit a shell in the ammunition depot, and then the entire barracks was engulfed in flames. Of course, the commotion here also attracted the attention of other military camps. Not only Misha and his men, but other warlords also learned the news. After learning that one of Misha's military camps had disappeared in just 1 hour, everyone was shocked and began to speculate who was responsible. After learning about this, Misha's first reaction was that it was Kingpin's people, but on second thought, he felt that Kingpin would not be so stupid. After all, Vanessa was in his hands, so there must be someone who wanted to make him and Kingpin suffer losses. "General, this was definitely done by Jin Bing's men. Just kill that woman." Misha's adjutant stood up and spoke. "No, this matter is still a little strange. It's possible that the person behind this wants me to go to war with Jin Bing. Let's first capture the group of people who attacked the military camp." "Yes, General." The adjutant stood up and saluted, then began to command the army, especially the camp where Misha was. All the nearby camps abandoned their original camps and came here to begin protecting Misha's safety. Of course, whether this Misha is real or a substitute is unknown. In the Golden Triangle, Li Qingyue kept dodging the pursuers behind him, especially the armed helicopters in the sky, which kept shooting with machine guns, leaving Li Qingyue with no way to escape. It's not that Li Qingyue didn't want to fight back, but he had used up all his bullets during this period of time. He originally wanted to rescue Vanessa and leave, but who knew that this group of people would chase him like crazy? He had killed almost 3,000 or 4,000 people, but even so, he could not frighten these people. Instead, it aroused their madness. Li Qingyue was now out of ammunition and food, with only a goosefeather knife left. However, even this specially made goosefeather knife had already cracked. "Stop, you have no way to escape, right?" A voice suddenly sounded. While dodging the bullets, Li Qingyue took the time to look back and found a middle-aged man standing on a tank and shouting with a loudspeaker. Seeing him, Li Qingyue suddenly thought of a solution, stopped, and raised his hands to show his surrender. When the middle-aged man saw this, his eyes lit up and he immediately signaled his men to stop. However, they did not put down their guns. Instead, they pointed their guns at Li Qingyue. As long as he made any unusual movement, they would definitely pull the trigger. "Are you Misa?" "Yes, it's me." "You are the god of death." "Grim Reaper?" "That's right. Maybe you don't know you have this nickname yet. You have killed nearly 4,000 people, so they all call you the god of death. I originally thought you were a small team, but what I never expected was that you were just one person. Interesting, really interesting. Tell me, who sent you?" Misha looked down at Li Qingyue and asked. "King Bing, he sent me to rescue people." "King Bing? Do you think I will believe it? I advise you to tell the truth. Otherwise, even if I admire you, I can't stop my men from attacking you. I know you don't believe me, but you can just let me meet Vanessa. She knows me." Misha looked straight at Li Qingyue, and Li Qingyue looked at him without any timidity. Finally, Misha waved his hand, and a group of people rushed up, tied Li Qingyue tightly with chains, and then threw him roughly into the car and drove towards the military camp. It was not known how long it had passed, but Li Qingyue had become accustomed to the bumps in the car. Suddenly the car stopped and he was dragged down. Then he saw a disheveled woman. Through her dirty hair, he could still vaguely see the woman's beautiful face. Vanessa? It's me. You're Ed, right? Why did Wilson send you here? Vanessa took 2 steps forward and wanted to help Li Qingyue up, but was stopped by enemies on both sides. It seems that you are really sent by Kingpin. Isn't he afraid of what I will do to his wife? Ms. Vanessa, I have always treated you well before, but your husband treats me like this. In this case, I will reward her to you, Misha said with a dark face. Vanessa screamed in horror, no, don't. The adjutant and several soldiers walked towards Vanessa with lustful looks on their faces. At the same time, the adjutant said, Ms. Vanessa, don't be nervous. We will make you very comfortable. By the way, after you serve us, there are more than 3,000 soldiers waiting to serve you. It seems that you will be comfortable for several days. Vanessa was so frightened that she stepped back again and finally had to lean against the wall. Li Qingyue suddenly sneered. Misha sensed something was wrong and shouted, shoot him. But it was still a step too late. Li Qingyue had a dagger in his hand. The dagger could cut through iron like mud. He easily cut the chain. Then he quickly inserted the dagger into the throat of the enemy next to him, and then started shooting with the gun on his body. Fortunately, Vanessa had already fallen to the ground at that time, otherwise she might have been injured by mistake. Everyone present was killed by Li Qingyue, and after hearing the gunshots, the people outside also began to rush here. Come with me. Li Qingyue grabbed Vanessa and threw her on the jeep. Then he quickly collected the guns and bullets from these people into the storage compartment. Of course, some of them were placed directly on the jeep. Contact Jin Bing and ask him to send someone over as soon as possible. Li Qingyue just started the car and threw a satellite phone to Vanessa. Vanessa took the phone and entered the number tremblingly. After a while, she contacted Jin Bing. Wilson said it would take 10 minutes and asked me to rush to these coordinates. Li Qingyue looked down at the coordinates and said to Vanessa, hold on tight. Vanessa grabbed the handguard on the roof of the car, and the next second she felt a strong push on her back. Li Qingyue drove the jeep, smashed the wall, and rushed out of the military camp. Just when Vanessa breathed a sigh of relief, she saw Li Qingyue with a serious face. Just as she was about to speak, she suddenly heard dense gunfire behind her. Vanessa was so scared that she hid underneath. Li Qingyue suddenly turned the steering wheel to the left and used the trees to block the bullets, but there were too many bullets. Even so, the car was still hit by bullets. One bullet went straight through Li Qingyue's head. Vanessa was so scared by the scene in front of her that she didn't know what to say until the car lost control and started heading towards the cliff. No! Vanessa screamed in horror. But the car stopped at the edge of the cliff, and a voice came, sorry, I scared you. You weren't hit by a bullet, were you? Just think of it as my superpower. After all, people have different physiques. Li Qingyue joked. But this was their territory after all, and they were soon surrounded. Li Qingyue looked around, stopped the car, put Vanessa in a cave, gave her some supplies and said, you stay inside. No matter what you hear, don't come out. Do you understand? Vanessa nodded quickly. She also knew that she was just a burden to him. But what Vanessa didn't expect was that Li Qingyue found a huge rock from somewhere and blocked the entrance of the cave. After making sure that he would not be discovered, he started the killing mode. This was also the first time he fought side by side with the Dark Ghost. Vanessa was holding the pistol nervously. Suddenly, gunshots were heard outside. She was frightened and her hand loosened and the gun fell down. At the same time, she covered her mouth tightly with her hands, fearing that she would suddenly make a sound. After an unknown amount of time, the sound gradually disappeared. At the same time, the boulder shook and a figure appeared at the entrance of the cave. Ed. It's me, come out, it's safe. Hearing Li Qingyue's voice, Vanessa breathed a sigh of relief and walked towards the cave entrance, but when she saw the scene in front of her, she was so scared that she didn't know what to say. Vanessa walked out and found that Li Qingyue was covered in blood as if he had been drenched in blood from head to toe. Not only that, the bodies of enemies could be seen everywhere he looked. Ugh. This is normal. Go ahead and spit it out. You'll feel better after that. I'm going to go wash up first. It's too sticky. After saying that, he no longer paid attention to Vanessa. After all the pursuers were killed by him, and now he and his men can be said to be very safe. After Li Qingyue took a quick shower, he immediately took Vanessa to the evacuation site, where a helicopter had been waiting for a long time. Soon the helicopter took them away from the Golden Triangle. Misha's strength was damaged in this battle. Seeing this, other warlords directly started a war and seized a large amount of territory and resources from Misha. Misha also knew that he was not strong enough to keep the existing territory, so he could only give away the extra territory. It would be best if he could let them fight each other so that he could take advantage of the situation. However, these people seemed to have discussed it long ago, and after dividing the territory, they did nothing. Misha could only bear this loss secretly, but his loss was not limited to this. The losses from the outside world were still increasing. He had captured Vanessa, Kingpin's weak spot, so Misha's forces outside would suffer an unprecedented blow. At the same time, on the other side, Li Qingyue and the others had returned to the Marvel studio in Hell's Kitchen. When Vanessa walked in, she saw Richard playing The King of Fighters 97 with Tom, and it seemed that he was at a disadvantage. "Richard!" Vanessa couldn't help but shout. After hearing Vanessa's voice, Richard dropped the handle and turned into Vanessa's arms. "Mom, you're finally back. Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Richard. How about you? Are you hurt?" "No, by the way, Mom, I want to introduce my friends to you. They are Tom and Jerry. They have saved me many times." Richard pulled Vanessa behind Tom and Jerry and introduced them. Just when Richard threw away the handle, Jerry slid and caught it, and then started fighting with Tom. However, it seemed that Tom was better, and Jerry was finally KO'd. When the two kids turned around, they noticed Vanessa, but she didn't look well now, especially the smell coming from her body, which made Jerry and Tom couldn't help but cover their noses. Vanessa was also a little embarrassed. Just when she was about to say something, Tom suddenly conjured up a curtain to surround Vanessa, and then conjured up a shower head, shampoo, etc., and Jerry helped her rinse her body inside. Then Tom threw Vanessa's dirty clothes into a basin that appeared out of nowhere and began to wash and iron them. In just 2 minutes, Vanessa's dirty clothes looked brand new, and Jerry had also finished washing them. When Vanessa put on her clothes and came out, she was still in a daze. You know, the physiques of mice are different from each other, and the same is true for cats, Li Qingyue explained. Okay, Jean Bing is still waiting for you. I want to escort you there. Li Qingyue interrupted what Vanessa wanted to say again. Oh well. Tom, Jerry, bye. Richard waved to his little friends. Jerry stood on Tom's shoulder and waved to Richard. Then Li Qingyue sent the two of them to the top floor of Wilson Building, threw out the parchment scroll in the presence of Kingpin, and left. Are you okay, Vanessa? After the outsiders left, Kingpin hugged Vanessa and asked softly. I'm fine, Wilson. Vanessa couldn't help crying as she thought about what she had experienced in the past few days, but she still suppressed her sadness and tried to force a smile. I'm sorry, it's my fault. Don't worry, anyone who hurts you will never have an easy time. Kingpin hugged Vanessa tightly and whispered, but his tone was full of murderous intent. Looking at his loving parents, Richard suddenly had his own seemingly unnecessary thoughts. But I still have to thank Ed this time. If it weren't for him, I might not be able to come back. And you don't know how powerful Ed is. Oh, how powerful is it? Jean Bing asked with interest. Vanessa then openly told Jean Bing about all the abilities Li Qingyue had demonstrated. The more Jean Bing listened, the more surprised he became. Especially the ability of immortality, which made Jean Bing remember it firmly in his mind. At this time, Vanessa said, Wilson, can we live next door to the office? This would be a good thing for Richard and our safety. Of course, I will arrange for someone to buy all the land around the office now. Jean Bing said with a smile. Okay, then I'll go and rest first. I'm so tired. Vanessa kissed Kingpin, and then opened the secret room in Kingpin's office. There was a huge bed here, and underneath was a bed forged from several pieces of solid metal and solid iron pillars. After all, Kingpin weighed an astonishing 400 pounds, and an ordinary bed could not bear such a weight. Looking at the sleeping Vanessa, Kingpin carefully closed the door of the secret room and motioned Richard to come over. Richard, are there still people attacking you these days? Tell the truth. Yes, but they were all blocked by Tom and Jerry. How many waves are there? 2 waves. Richard said cautiously with his head down. Who are Tom and Jerry? Ed's employees? No, they are Brother Ed's pets. They are so powerful. They are ninjas. They can not only spit fire, but also spray water. Jerry can even summon a wooden dragon. Richard said excitedly. After hearing what Richard said, Jean Bing felt that Richard was crazy, but he also knew Richard's character. He was not good at lying, at least not to him. In other words, what Richard said was true, which requires a reassessment of Li Qinyue's strength. Jean Bing quickly bought all the land around the office, except for the building. After all, the building was Li Qinyue's territory, so Jean Bing couldn't buy it, but it was enough. At the same time, another decoration team came in and started to decorate the house on the other side of the office. The result was very obvious. Tom and Jerry went crazy and wanted to set off fireworks and throw bombs. Fortunately, Walter was in the office at the time and he calmed them down with some persuasion. However, this still made them furious, and they sat on the windows and stared at another decoration team. This made the decoration team feel terrified, but they had no choice but to pretend not to see it. "What's wrong with them?" Li Qinyue asked after waking up. "Boss, there's a new renovation team next door, and Tom and Jerry didn't sleep well because of this," Walter explained. "So that's how it is. Let them be. By the way, have you seen the gift box on my desk?" After completing the commission yesterday, the system started upgrading, so Jean Bing's gift box has not been given to him yet. Li Qinyue was too sleepy yesterday, so he went to bed first and ignored the system upgrade. It was not until I woke up in the morning and took a casual look that I found that the system had been upgraded. There was not only a commission gift box but also an upgrade gift package. Yes, but I didn't dare to touch it. After all, it belongs to you, the boss. But there are 2 gift boxes which I put in the drawer. Li Qinyue walked directly to the table, opened the drawer, and opened one of the gift boxes. A small jar fell out, and inside the jar was a pile of round, transparent pills. NZ48, a drug from the film Limitless. Upon consumption, it grants the user a photographic memory, exceptional language skills, abundant energy, clear thinking, and agility. It can even instantly reassemble and deduce details and information that would normally be difficult to notice, causing a dramatic increase in personal charisma. Li Qinyue put it aside, and then opened another gift box. This was the big one, after all, it was an upgrade gift package. As he opened it, 3 items fell out, 2 work badges and a small model of a vending machine. Employee ID card *2. After signing a contract with a specific person, you can become a formal employee of the firm and gain some of the firm's rights. Office vending machine. There are various items from all over the world for sale. You need to redeem them with points. Only the office owner and employees can use it. "Walter, come here. It's time to make you a regular employee," Li Qinyue shouted to Walter, who was standing aside. "Ah, regularization? Yes, you have been a temporary employee before, but now you can officially transfer to a full-time employee. But before that, I need to make it clear to you in advance, that is, if you really sign a contract with me, you will be an employee of the firm until you die. Are you sure?" Li Qinyue looked at Walter seriously. Walter was also startled by Li Qinyue's seriousness, but he soon made up his mind and said with a firm look in his eyes, "Boss, I am sure and I will join the firm." "Okay, then sign your name." Li Qinyue put his ID card on the table. Walter walked over but didn't see any paper or pen. "Boss, where's the pen? You don't sign this with a pen." Walter seemed to have thought of something. He took out a knife and cut a cut on his index finger. He used the blood to sign his name on the work badge. Then the work badge emitted a faint red light, and then his portrait, name and position appeared on the work badge. Name, Walter O'Brien Kawaja. Position, Junior Mercenary. Points, 0. "Boss, what are these points?" Walter asked curiously while wearing his ID card around his neck. The next second, a piece of information came into his mind. He looked at the ID card, and it turned into a silver-white liquid that gathered on his wrist to form a watch. "Oh, that's great, there are actually hidden functions," Li Qinyue said in surprise. "By the way, boss, you haven't told me what the points are for." "Points are used to exchange things." Li Qinyue came to the corner of the office and threw the vending machine model out. Then a vending machine that was 2 meters high, 70 centimeters wide and 1 meter thick appeared. "You can come and see what you can exchange," Li Qinyue said with a smile. Walter came to the vending machine out of curiosity and found that the vending machine only had level 1 items for sale, and he didn't recognize most of the items in it. "I recognize gold, silver, water, and cans, but what are those strange-shaped cans?" asked Walter. "Living elements. You can think of them as alternative superpowers. To power them, you need magic salts, which you can think of as alternative magic power." "So expensive. What are these powers? No, what are they used for?" This is a bit complicated to explain. You can watch the introduction video below. Seeing this, Walter clicked on the video. After learning about the 8 active elements, he turned around and looked at Li Qinyue with a flattering smile. "What do you want to do?" Boss, do you have any points? Can you lend me some? Don't look at me, I don't have any points either. You can only get points by completing commissions, and the points you get will vary depending on the difficulty of the commission. You can slowly accumulate them yourself. Li Qingyue spread his hands. After all, these living element abilities came from the superpowers in BioShock Infinite. These superpowers were not very powerful to him, so it made no difference whether he had them or not. But boss, you know, I'm just an ordinary person. How can I complete your commissions? As soon as Walter finished speaking, a couple of parents rushed in. Hello, do you two have any commissions that need to be published? Yes, I would like to ask you to help me find my daughter's location. Location? Don't you need us to bring your daughter here? Li Qingyue asked curiously. No, our people will bring her back safely. You just need to provide us with the location. Seeing this, Li Qingyue took out the scroll. The man seemed to know Li Qingyue's habits and signed with a bloody thumbprint. Then Li Qingyue gave the scroll to Walter. Seeing this, Walter smiled and took the two of them to the house next door, where they saw many computer devices, but they did not ask much because Walter had already started using various cameras to search for their daughter. Soon, Walter found the daughter of the two men with the help of the cameras in the streets and alleys. When the father saw his daughter's location at this time, he was extremely angry. He took out his mobile phone and made a call. After telling the location to the person on the other end of the phone, he said, "Bring her back." Then he hung up the phone and handed a check to Walter. Walter looked at the check and put it away after confirming that it was correct. However, he did not find that his points had increased. He suddenly thought of something, picked up the parchment scroll, and threw it into the air under the gaze of the two people. The parchment scroll stopped in the air and then began to combust. It's just a little magic trick, ma'am. If you have other commissions, feel free to come to us. There is no commission we cannot complete. Walter said with a smile, and at the same time his points increased by 10 points. This was far from enough for the active ingredients he wanted to buy, but at least it was a good start. Walter sat on the new sofa in the office, staring at the vending machine not far away. Okay, just do more commissions and accumulate more points so you can exchange them for the living ingredients you want. Li Qingyue said unhappily. Boss, can't you lend me some points in advance? No, the rules don't allow it. Oh well. Seeing Walter's horrible look, Li Qingyue took out the bottle of NZT-48 and said, "This is for you." Walter took it and asked curiously, "What is this, boss?" This is called NZT-48. It's a new type of drug, but it will open up every nerve connection in your body, giving you a photographic memory and super intelligence. It can even allow you to learn a language you've never learned before and master it in a single day. Is this considered a drug? Walter asked in surprise. Don't be impatient, let me continue. If that's really the only effect, then I wouldn't call it a drug. NZT-48 has a time limit of about 12 hours, which increases or decreases depending on your individual constitution. It's addictive just like drugs. I wouldn't say it's addictive, but once you experience that feeling, you'll never want to be beaten back to your original form again. And if you take NZT-48 for a long time and suddenly stop, you'll experience splitting headaches, vomiting, and dizziness. You'll also notice gaps in your memory. These are side effects. This can is the only NZT-48 left in the world. I'm giving you two options. The first is to take NZT-48 and quickly learn a lot of biology knowledge. Then, use this knowledge to modify NZT-48 into a side effect-free NZT tablet. If you succeed, I'll give you 1,000 points as a reward. The second option is to pretend you don't know about this thing and slowly complete commissions to earn points. No matter which option you choose, I won't blame you, but you have to remember that if you choose the first one and cannot improve the NZT-48, then you will be dependent on the NZT-48 for the rest of your life, so you have to choose carefully. Li Qingyue said seriously. I choose the first one. Are you sure? I'm sure, boss. I believe in my own intelligence. I actually applied for a PhD in biology back then, but due to certain circumstances in my country and internationally, no research group was willing to accept me, so I didn't get a PhD in biology. Actually, my knowledge of biology is no worse than other biology PhDs. Okay, in that case, you go find old Jack and convert the second floor into a laboratory. You can eat after everything is ready. Got it? Got it, boss. This concerns my own safety after all. I will be very careful. Okay, as long as you know the importance of this, go find old Jack. Then Walter rode Li Qingyue's old motorcycle directly towards old Jack's grocery store, while Li Qingyue stayed in the office. Suddenly the door was pushed open and Richard's little head popped out. "Richard, why are you here?" "Hee hee, Brother Ed, I'm here to invite Tom and Jerry to come over to my house and play, is that okay?" Just as Lee Chinue was about to speak, Tom and Jerry immediately ran to Lee Chinue, clasped their hands together and begged him. "Okay, but you can't act willfully when you go to someone else's house, got it?" The two kids nodded quickly, indicating that they would definitely not do anything rash. However, Lee Chinue knew their personalities, but there was nothing he could do. He could only pray that the noise they made would be smaller. Then Richard took the two children back to the house next door, said goodbye to Vanessa, and went directly into the specially built entertainment room where the three children were happily playing games. Vanessa also came in the middle to bring them snacks and drinks. Seeing Richard so happy, Vanessa also showed a relieved smile. On the other side, Walter came to old Jack's grocery store again, but it seemed that he came at the wrong time. As soon as he opened the door, he saw a bunch of burly men with tattoos standing in the grocery store. Walter looked at them, swallowed his saliva and said, "Well, there are so many people, I won't disturb you for now." As a result, when he turned around, a strong body blocked him and pushed Walter into the grocery store with a light push. At this time, old Jack came out and said, "If I were you, I wouldn't do anything to this little guy." "Who is he?" "Ed's employees, you should know him, he's quite protective of his people." Hearing the name Ed, the group of strong men seemed to have thought of something and quickly moved to the sides, creating a path in such a crowded space. Walter did not hesitate and came directly to old Jack. "Here you are, what do you want this time?" Old Jack, don't you need to entertain them first?" Walter asked the strong men. "No, they've already bought it and are just waiting for the goods to arrive." Walter nodded after listening, and then told him what he wanted one by one. Old Jack could still listen at first, but as Walter mentioned more and more equipment, he had to take out a pen and paper to record it. After Walter finished speaking, old Jack frowned and said, "What you want this time is not cheap. It will cost at least $100 million US. I remember your boss probably doesn't have that much money." "Hiss, do you need so much?" "I'll ask the boss," Walter said with a wry smile. When the strong men learned that these things cost $100 million, they were all stunned. "Boss," I asked old Jack, "and all these devices will cost at least $100 million US in total. Do we have that much money now?" Walter asked cautiously. But no one knew what Lee Chinue said. Finally, Walter raised his head and asked old Jack, "Old Jack, can I get antiques or gold and silver jewelry of the same quality?" "Of course, but as far as I know your boss doesn't seem to have these things." "The boss said it will be available soon. If possible, please start preparing now, old Jack." "Okay, you have a lot of machines here that need some time to prepare, about a week. I need to see the deposit after a week, understand?" "Don't worry, old Jack. Our boss has never owed you money. He owes me a lot of money. Do you want me to explain it to you one by one?" Old Jack said unhappily. No thanks," Walter said awkwardly. Then Walter left the grocery store and returned to the office. As soon as he opened the door, he found that someone was stroking a crystal skull. This crystal skull was not a human skull because it was too long. "Boss, where can we find those antiques and gold and silver jewelry?" "The secret cannot be revealed, but before we set off, we still need some off-site funding," Lee Chinue said with a mysterious smile. In the Amazon jungle, a group of people were walking along a river. These people were Lee Chinue and an adventure team. This adventure team consists of archaeologists, biologists, botanists, wilderness survival masters and a retired Marine Corps soldier, and they specialize in finding treasures lost in history. "Sir, are you sure this is the right way?" asked the biologist in the adventure team. She was also the only two girls in the team. "The road is correct, but we won't arrive that quickly," Lee Chinue said without turning his head. "Does Victor really exist? What do you think?" Lee Chinue turned around and looked at the four of them and asked. Everyone stopped talking and continued on their way. Soon they passed through the dense jungle and saw a desolate road. There are still lush green forests on both sides of the road, but how can there be a desolate road here? There is not even a trace of green on the road, and there are several raised mounds of earth on the road. "Everyone be careful. Walk through the jungles on both sides and don't walk on the dirt road in the middle," Lee Chinue reminded. "Why?" "Army ants, those mounds are the army ants' nests. If you don't want them to eat you all, don't wake them up." The 5 members of the adventure team looked at each other, and then decided to follow Lee Chinue's reminder. They were walking in the jungle beside them. At this time, a monitor lizard was swaggering on the mud road. The 5 people looked at it and stopped. The next second, a large number of army ants crawled out of the earth. Seeing this, the monitor lizard wanted to escape, but it was too late because the army ants had surrounded it. It couldn't even resist and was carried into the nest by the army ants, which made the adventure team drool. But soon they reached the end, a cliff. Li Qingyue stood on the cliff and looked into the distance. He saw 3 waterfalls in the distance and pointed in the direction of the waterfalls and said, "See? As long as we pass these 3 waterfalls, we will reach our destination." "Then why don't we go directly down but come here?" asked the survival master puzzledly. "Because I need to find a way. If you think this will delay the time, then we can choose a faster way." "What method?" the 4 asked in unison. "A raft." "That's impossible. Just considering the height difference between these 3 waterfalls, no raft can withstand such an impact." "Then there is no other way. We can only use the rope to descend again, and then move forward along the river. It depends on whether you want to choose a radical or safe option." Li Qingyue said with his hands spread out. The 5 people discussed it. Although Li Qingyue was the boss who hired them, their lives were their own. In addition, there were 2 girls in the team. Although their physical fitness was better than that of ordinary men, the raft method was too radical. In the end, they chose a safer way. Then they began to tie the ropes and slowly descended the cliff. After repeating this 4 times, they finally arrived below the 3rd waterfall. "Boss, what should we do next?" "We're here, follow me." Li Qingyue took the lead and walked towards the waterfall. When everyone passed the waterfall, they noticed that there was a passage behind the waterfall, and there were some murals carved in colorful patterns on both sides of the passage. "Ox people, this is their totem. It seems that this is really true. Aliens really exist." The archaeologist came to the mural and said while carefully examining it with the help of the light of the torch, "Okay, let's keep moving forward. If you really want to do research, use your camera to take pictures of the murals here," said Li Qingyue. The archaeologist nodded and took frantic photos with his camera. However, as everyone continued to go deeper, Li Qingyue slowly said, "Take out your weapons. We have encountered indigenous people." "How is this possible?" "Anything is possible. Take out your weapons." "I'm not kidding you." Everyone thought about Li Qingyue's actions along the way and knew that he didn't like jokes, so they took out their weapons, mostly pistols. Only the survival master held a bow and arrow and looked around vigilantly. "We need to speed up now. You 2 will walk behind me, and you will be the last one to leave." Li Qingyue asked the 2 girls to follow him, while the retired soldier would be the last one to leave. As they saw the light ahead, they heard rustling sounds behind them. Everyone then realized that Li Qingyue was not joking and quickly quickened their pace. When they walked out of the passage, they found a flight of stone steps in front of them. The step height was almost several hundred meters, followed by a large plain. In the center of the plain sat a stone pyramid, but the pyramid had no top. Instead, there were 4 huge stone pillars that crossed and landed on stone platforms in the 4 corners. When everyone arrived on the plain, a group of primitive people appeared with stone spears and surrounded them. "What should we do, boss?" the biologist and the botanist asked, sticking closely behind Li Qingyue. Li Qingyue took out his gun expressionlessly and shot at the primitive people in front of him. The gunshot scared them so much that they stood there in a daze. But after a while, one of the primitive people shouted, and the others also shouted. Seeing them rushing up again, Li Qingyue frowned and took out the crystal skull directly. Seeing this, the group of primitive people seemed to have seen something terrifying, and they all retreated and dared not get close. "Let's go." Li Qingyue brought them to the top of the pyramid, then took out a device, pressed the button on it, and put it aside. When the others saw the device, they all found a place to rest. Only the archaeologists kept checking the patterns on the surrounding stone pillars. I don't know how long it took, but helicopters appeared one after another, and their appearance made those primitive people disappear. As the helicopter descended, Bullseye walked out. "Is this the place you were talking about?" "That's right, now that you are all here, let's get ready. Go up and don't come down." After saying that, Li Qingyue drove everyone upstairs, while he was at the bottom, pulling out the protruding stone under the middle stone pillar. As the stones were pulled out, a large amount of sand flowed out. Without the sand supporting the middle stone pillar, the stone pillar began to fall. As it fell, the stone pillars on the 4 corners were erected. Finally, the 4 small stone pillars merged into one, and the passage leading to the bottom was opened. Seeing this, Bullseye immediately signaled his men to go down. "Let's go, it's time for us to go down," Li Qingyue said. Everyone walked through a door and saw the scene inside. Everyone stood there in amazement. Everyone walked through a door and was stunned by the scene in front of them. Because there are all kinds of statues, sculptures, ceramics, bronze products, iron products, various gold and silver coins and gold ornaments. Everyone, this is our target, let's start moving it. Li Qingyue shouted loudly, and Bullseye also came to his senses and signaled his men to start moving. 5 of you, you can also choose 2 items from here as your reward. Of course, you can choose to take the cultural relics directly or exchange them for cash. Li Qingyue said to the 5 people with a smile. I want the cultural relics, said the archaeologist excitedly. We want money. The other 4 said in unison. It's all right. Just pick out the cultural relics you want and then pay for them. I will arrange for someone to deposit the discounted money into your account. Of course, the origin can be checked and no one will ask about it. As for your cultural relics, give me an address and I will arrange for someone to deliver them safely. If you want to transport them yourself, that's also possible. After you like them, stick this on and write your name. Li Qingyue said as he gave them some stickers. After hearing this, the 5 people excitedly went to look for the cultural relics they liked. Of course, most of them still relied on archaeologists to estimate their value, but too many cultural relics here were very rare, and some were not even available on the market, making it impossible to estimate their value. They had no choice but to select the cultural relics that archaeologists thought were most valuable, put stickers on them and sign their names. At this time, Bullseye noticed a door not far away. Holding a toothpick in his mouth, he came to Li Qingyue and asked, Ed, what's behind that door? It's an alien. I'm going to liberate it later and this place will be destroyed, so leave as soon as you're done moving. Why liberate it? After all, they made us a lot of money, so we can't just abandon them. Okay, as long as you like it. After carrying for a whole day and night, everyone finally moved all the cultural relics away. If it were just bricks of the same weight, they would only need a few hours, but these cultural relics were not possible. They were all fragile and their value would be greatly reduced if they were bumped a little. They could only be carried gently, which was the reason why the speed was so slow. Really? I don't have to wait for you. No need, just go to the meeting place and wait for me. The following scene will be too shocking for ordinary people, so it's better not to let them see it. Li Qingyue said to Bullseye sitting in the helicopter. Bullseye nodded and led his men away. Then Li Qingyue used the crystal skull to push open the door. Here he saw 13 crystal skulls, but one skull had no head. Li Qingyue returned the head to it and said, If you really want to thank me, please melt all the gold here into blocks for me. Suddenly a voice sounded in his heart, Don't you need knowledge? Need not. As you wish, thank you for returning my head. The next second, all the gold in the room was extracted, forming a huge gold nugget that was 5 meters long, high and wide. This gold nugget was pure gold, without any impurities. After Li Qingyue took the gold nuggets, he left without looking back. He did not notice that the 13 crystal skulls behind him began to gather towards one skull. As more crystal skulls merged, his original appearance became clearer. Finally, his true alien appearance appeared. He opened his eyes and looked at Li Qingyue's back. After Li Qingyue left, a circle of sparks appeared in the room, and a bald woman in a white monk's robe walked out of it. She nodded slightly to the alien. Accompanied by the boom-boom sound of explosions coming from behind, a disc-shaped UFO appeared and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Only the huge pit could prove that this place once existed. Li Qingyue returned to the town in the Amazon jungle at an extremely fast speed. He first took a car to the city and then flew back to New York. As soon as he got off the plane, he went straight back to the office. At this time, Walter in the office came to the vending machine again. After working with Tom these days, he finally saved enough points to exchange for living elements. What are you doing, Walter? Li Qingyue's sudden voice scared Walter. Looking at Walter, who shivered, Li Qingyue became even more confused. Boss, you're back. I'm planning to buy some live food. Do you have any good recommendations? Where did you get the points? Li Qingyue asked. Hee, I just took on a few commissions and asked Tom to work with me to complete them. You're really good. Just buy whatever you want. You're not limited to using just one type of vitality ability. If you have points, you can redeem them all. Hearing what Li Qingyue said, Walter directly chose the living element he thought was suitable for him, killing crow. As he exchanged the items, a bottle with a light blue glow and a crow's head on the lid and a pattern of a crow holding a dagger appeared with a ding-dong sound. After taking a deep breath, Walter pulled out the crow's head and drank the liquid inside. Suddenly, he felt the scenery in front of him spinning. Suddenly, a crow flew onto his arm. This crow had a red beak, and it seemed that the crow had just been eating. Blood was dripping from its beak, which looked very scary. As the crows flew away, Walter woke up and learned how to use the killing crows. The first one was to release a group of killing crows to attack the enemy. In terms of strength, ordinary people could not resist the damage of the killing crows at all, and the summoned killing crows were immune to various attacks. If you want to make them disappear, you can only wait until the time limit is over or the enemy has been killed. The second method is to release a crow's nest. If the enemy steps on the nest, the crow's nest will turn into a large number of killing crows to attack the enemy. Overall, he is quite satisfied. There is not much magic salt in the body, so it can only release skills about 10 times, and the recovery speed is too slow. It takes about half an hour to recover a skill. What's wrong? You don't seem satisfied. The magic salt in my body is only enough for me to use 10 times. How can I be satisfied? You see that tall, blue bottle of potion in the vending machine? It can increase the capacity of magic salt in your body. If you buy more, you can increase the number of times you can use your skills. Li Qingyue reminded. Only then did Walter notice the bottle of blue potion. There was no introduction to the potion, just the word potion. At the same time, he also saw a very cheap magic salt potion. It was not difficult to see that drinking this thing would restore one's own magic salt. Stop playing. Has the money arrived? On the rooftop of the office, Li Qingyue stopped Walter, who was practicing the ability of killing crows. Here it is. A total of $1 billion. This is what we earned, and Jean gave me the bill. As you know, I am not familiar with the prices of these artifacts, and there are too many of them. It's okay. 1 billion is 1 billion. The extra money can be considered a gift to them. Have you prepared the experimental equipment? It's ready. Once the money is in place, we can start the renovation. Okay, then you go and pay for it yourself. Li Qingyue then threw the card to Walter. Walter rode his broken motorcycle to Old Jack's grocery store and generously spent 150 million to pay for all the goods. When Old Jack saw the money arrive, he immediately arranged for Tank, the strong man over 2 meters tall who often followed Old Jack, to lead the decoration team to renovate the second floor. Dividing line. Washington, Triskelion Building. Chief, here's some information I think you should take a look at. A female agent wearing a tight-fitting outfit and with a curvy figure said as she pushed open the door, holding a folder. Agent Hill, is there any information you need me to see? The seat slowly turned around, revealing the person sitting on it. He had a bald head, dark skin, and wore an eye patch. He was the famous damn freaking man, Director Nick Fury. He's the boss of a law firm. We once purchased some intelligence from him, and that intelligence has been verified to be true. Originally, we assessed his danger level at around level 3, but based on his most recent commission, I think we need to raise his assessment level. Agent Hill placed the folder on the table. Nick Fury picked up the folder and started looking at it, but as he flipped through the pages slower, his brows furrowed. Are you sure you're kidding me? Even if Captain America were resurrected, he wouldn't be able to achieve such a record. I'm sorry, Chief. I regret to tell you that the information above is all true. Raise his assessment to level 6 and assign personnel to monitor him. Director, are you sure? His senses are very sharp. It doesn't matter. Since he's an information dealer, he should know about our existence. Let's make the arrangements. By the way, where's Natasha? Director, do you have something to talk to me about? Speak of the devil, and here comes a sexy woman with red hair. Natasha, go contact him. Nick Fury threw out a folder. Natasha, also known as the Black Widow, picked up the folder. After seeing her target clearly, she couldn't help but frown, but she didn't refuse. Just as she was about to leave, Nick Fury called her. Oh, there's one more thing. If possible, please contact this person as well. Hey, Mr. Director, I'm only one person and I can't split myself into two. Natasha said unhappily. In that case, I'll let Coulson contact him. Forget it, is he in New York? In Hell's Kitchen, there's a shop called Marvel Studios. It seems to have some local prestige. I understand. Leave it to me. After that, Natasha took the 2 folders and left. Agent Hill looked at her and asked, let Black Widow handle it. Is that okay? Didn't the information say that he saved that playboy? According to our psychologist, he will definitely look for that boss again. So Natasha staying with that playboy will allow her to better connect with the two of them. After hearing this, Agent Hill didn't say anything more. He nodded slightly and turned to leave. Soon Natasha joined Stark Corporation as an interviewee and was successfully selected as Tony's secretary because of her graceful figure and angelic face. Dividing line. Boss, there's a commission. Walter pushed open the door of the office and shouted loudly. Tom, Jerry, and Richard, who were playing games, turned around and looked at Walter. Walter quickly smiled flatteringly and said, I'm sorry to bother you. It's my fault, my fault. Please continue, continue. Sanshao then turned around and continued playing the game. After all, the previous game had ended because of his sudden shout. Boss, the commission has arrived. Yawn, what commission? Li Qingyue asked as he walked down from upstairs, yawning. This is a commission given to us by Tony Stark. He wants us to find the mastermind who put him in danger. How much? $1 million. So little? Li Qingyue asked in surprise. Well, because he provided a person, let's investigate thoroughly to see if he did it. Who? Obadiah Stan, his uncle without blood. Then do you think we still need to investigate? It's 100% him. No, he said there must be evidence. Just ask him to sign, and then you can complete it yourself. The evidence is hidden in his work computer. It should be easy for you to get it. Li Qingyue felt it was boring after hearing this, and he lay down on the table again. After a while, Walter heard snoring. Walter looked helpless and could only go alone. After all, as a formal employee, he also had certain powers, and signing a commission contract with others was also included in this power. Soon, Walter arrived at Tony's beach villa. As soon as he approached the door opened by itself. Walter was a little surprised. Hello, Mr. Kawaja, please come in. The gentleman is in the basement. I have already informed him. Who are you? My name is Jarvis, and I'm the artificial intelligence created by Mr. Hello, Jarvis. By the way, do you have the authority to query anyone's computer in your group? Mr. Kawaja, I have the authority to view the computers of most employees, but I do not have the authority to view the computers of senior executives unless Mr. Stark orders me to do so. Jarvis' voice rang out. At this time, Tony also came up from the basement. Seeing that Walter was the only one coming, he was a little surprised. Where is your boss? Well, the boss has completely entrusted this commission to me. So, Mr. Stark, please sign the commission contract first. After saying that, Walter also produced a parchment scroll, a quill pen and ink pad out of thin air. Tony looked at the contents of the contract, picked up the pen and signed his name, then pressed the ink pad, which injured his hand. He looked at Walter, gritted his teeth and pressed his thumb down. As the name glowed, what knew the contract was complete. Mr. Stark, I want to ask. Just call me Tony, no need to be so polite. Tony interrupted Walter. Okay, Tony, Jarvis has the authority to access the computers of all Stark Corporation employees, right? Yes, what's wrong? The evidence you want is hidden in that person's work computer. You can ask Jarvis to check his computer. Are you sure? Is he so stupid as to hide such important evidence in his work computer? Tony frowned and said as if he was kidding me. You can ask Jarvis to take a look. With its capabilities, it should only take a few seconds to verify what I said. After hearing this, Tony was silent for a long time. Finally, he closed his eyes, took a deep breath and said, Jarvis. Okay, sir, I've checked. Do you need to check it? Tony nodded, and then a video popped up. It was a conversation between Obadiah Stane and members of the 10 Rings about capturing Tony Stark. After hearing this, Tony opened his eyes. The commission has been completed, remember to transfer the money. Seeing that Tony was in a bad mood, Walter spoke directly. Jarvis, transfer $1 million to their account. Sir, the payment has been made. After receiving the message, Walter threw the parchment scroll into the air. His points increased by almost 10 points, and then Walter left Tony's villa. But just when Tony was thinking about how to deal with Obadiah Stane entered the villa. Because Tony did not have the authority to prohibit Obadiah Stane from entering, everything seemed to be back on track, and the reactor in Tony's chest was still taken away. He also almost died because he lost the reactor, but the world's powerful correction ability allowed him to put on the old reactor and armor and start a duel with Ironmonger. However, because Tony asked Walter and others to find evidence this time, Pepper was not in danger. But Pepper still learned about Tony's danger through the news and immediately contacted Li Qingyue, asking them to help Tony defeat Ironmonger. But because she needed to sign, Pepper had to come to the vicinity of the battle between the two and wait for Li Qingyue's arrival. At first, Pepper dodged well, but because the fight between Tony and Ironmonger covered such a large area, they soon reached Pepper's vicinity. When he saw Pepper, Ironmonger let out a cunning laugh. "Tony, you didn't expect that your little lover would be so stupid as to come here to find you, Ironmonger laughed and attacked Pepper. Seeing this, Tony immediately flew over and used his armor as a weapon to knock Ironmonger away, but Ironmonger was too heavy, and the energy contained in the old reactor was not enough for him to fight for a long time. In addition, his armor was not as thick as Ironmonger's, so he was also seriously damaged. Just as Ironmonger's hand was about to touch Pepper, a voice came, "Get down!" Pepper squatted down subconsciously, and then a figure flew through the sky and kicked Ironmonger, who took several steps back. Then the figure took the opportunity to take Pepper away. "Miss Pepper, please sign your name and stamp it quickly. Remember, the reward for this commission is $5 million. Li Qingyue threw the parchment scroll into Pepper's arms and immediately threw himself into the battle. "You don't think two people can defeat me, let alone one of you is an ordinary person." Ironmonger sneered as he stood there. "Whether I can beat you or not, I'll know after trying," Li Qingyue said with a smile. When Tai Ba Wang saw Li Qingyue's smile, he immediately became furious and raised his hand to swing at Li Qingyue, but Li Qingyue only aimed at the joint and the bullet hit the vital part directly, causing Tai Ba Wang's arm to suddenly stop. "That's impossible." "Nothing is impossible. Your Ironmonger is shoddy. It doesn't even cover important parts like the joints properly. You deserve to lose." "I won't lose, I won't." Iron Overlord roared, raised his other arm, and pointed a machine gun at Li Qingyue. Li Qingyue rolled over to avoid the strafing, raised his gun and fired, but the bullet broke the ammunition belt, cutting off the supply of bullets. This stunned Iron Overlord, as he had never imagined the current scene. Just as Ironmonger was in a daze, Tony rushed over from behind and made him fall forward, but Ironmonger supported himself with his hands and pushed forward to stand up again. Li Qingyue's attack followed closely, and 12 bullets landed precisely on the same point, directly creating a crack in the thick steel plate. Obadiah Stan was inside the Iron Overlord, looking at Li Qingyue outside through the crack. As Li Qingyue smiled slightly, a gunshot rang out, and a fatal bullet pierced through the crack and hit Obadiah Stan's forehead accurately. "Tony, the matter is settled. Remember to transfer the money to my account." "Solved." Tony came to Li Qingyue and said in surprise, but when he looked at Ironmonger, he also found the bullet hole. "Yes, it's solved. I've asked Jarvis to transfer the money." "Thank you, boss," Li Qingyue said with a smile, and threw the parchment scroll into the sky when he left. After watching the scroll turn into ashes, Tony began to contact Happy to come and finish the job. "Tony, are you okay?" Pepper quickly ran to Tony and asked. "I'm fine, thanks to you," Tony said, breathing slightly heavily. After all, if Pepper hadn't found Li Qingyue, he would probably have been killed by Ironmonger by now, so he was really thanking Pepper. "Reporters are coming, let's go back first and leave this to Happy," Pepper said as she looked at Happy who had arrived and the news helicopter approaching in the distance. Tony nodded, and the two of them drove back to Tony's beachfront villa. On the other side, Li Qingyue returned to the office and found a gift box on the table. "It seems that my guess is correct. Only the commissions I completed myself will be rewarded. There will be no rewards for commissions completed by other employees. It seems that they are deliberately not letting me rest," Li Qingyue said softly. Although he said that, he still went over to open the box, and a stack of US dollars fell out. This result made Li Qingyue roll his eyes, but these rewards are like this, some good and some bad, and he could only throw the stack of US dollars into the drawer. Then Li Qingyue locked the door and went back upstairs to sleep. Just as he went upstairs, a figure came to the door and stayed there for about half a minute before leaving. "Mr. Stark, I want to ask." "Just call me Tony, no need to be so polite." Tony interrupted Walter. "Okay, Tony, Jarvis has the authority to access the computers of all Stark Corporation employees, right?" "Yes, what's wrong?" "The evidence you want is hidden in that person's work computer. You can ask Jarvis to check his computer." "Are you sure? Is he so stupid as to hide such important evidence in his work computer?" Tony frowned and said as if he was kidding me. "You can ask Jarvis to take a look. With its capabilities, it should only take a few seconds to verify what I said." After hearing this, Tony was silent for a long time. Finally, he closed his eyes, took a deep breath and said, "Jarvis." "Okay, sir, I've checked. Do you need to check it?" Tony nodded, and then a video popped up. It was a conversation between Obadiah Stane and members of the Ten Rings about capturing Tony Stark. After hearing this, Tony opened his eyes. The commission has been completed, remember to transfer the money. Seeing that Tony was in a bad mood, Walter spoke directly. Jarvis, transfer $1 million to their account. Sir, the payment has been made. After receiving the message, Walter threw the parchment scroll into the air. His points increased by almost 10 points, and then Walter left Tony's villa. But just when Tony was thinking about how to deal with Obadiah Stane entered the villa. Because Tony did not have the authority to prohibit Obadiah Stane from entering, everything seemed to be back on track, and the reactor in Tony's chest was still taken away. He also almost died because he lost the reactor, but the world's powerful correction ability allowed him to put on the old reactor and armor and start a duel with Ironmonger. However, because Tony asked Walter and others to find evidence this time, Pepper was not in danger. But Pepper still learned about Tony's danger through the news and immediately contacted Li Qingyue, asking them to help Tony defeat Ironmonger. But because she needed to sign, Pepper had to come to the vicinity of the battle between the two and wait for Li Qingyue's arrival. At first, Pepper dodged well, but because the fight between Tony and Ironmonger covered such a large area, they soon reached Pepper's vicinity. When he saw Pepper, Ironmonger let out a cunning laugh. Tony, you didn't expect that your little lover would be so stupid as to come here to find you, Ironmonger laughed and attacked Pepper. Seeing this, Tony immediately flew over and used his armor as a weapon to knock Ironmonger away, but Ironmonger was too heavy, and the energy contained in the old reactor was not enough for him to fight for a long time. In addition, his armor was not as thick as Ironmonger's, so he was also seriously damaged. Just as Ironmonger's hand was about to touch Pepper, a voice came, "Get down!" Pepper squatted down subconsciously, and then a figure flew through the sky and kicked Ironmonger, who took several steps back. Then the figure took the opportunity to take Pepper away. "Miss Pepper, please sign your name and stamp it quickly. Remember, the reward for this commission is $5 million. Li Qingyue threw the parchment scroll into Pepper's arms and immediately threw himself into the battle. "You don't think two people can defeat me, let alone one of you is an ordinary person." Ironmonger sneered as he stood there. "Whether I can beat you or not, I'll know after trying," Li Qingyue said with a smile. When Tai Ba Wang saw Li Qingyue's smile, he immediately became furious and raised his hand to swing at Li Qingyue, but Li Qingyue only aimed at the joint and the bullet hit the vital part directly, causing Tai Ba Wang's arm to suddenly stop. "That's impossible." "Nothing is impossible. Your Ironmonger is shoddy. It doesn't even cover important parts like the joints properly. You deserve to lose." "I won't lose, I won't." Iron Overlord roared, raised his other arm, and pointed a machine gun at Li Qingyue. Li Qingyue rolled over to avoid the strafing, raised his gun and fired, but the bullet broke the ammunition belt, cutting off the supply of bullets. This stunned Iron Overlord, as he had never imagined the current scene. Just as Ironmonger was in a daze, Tony rushed over from behind and made him fall forward, but Ironmonger supported himself with his hands and pushed forward to stand up again. Li Qingyue's attack followed closely, and 12 bullets landed precisely on the same point, directly creating a crack in the thick steel plate. Obadiah Stane was inside the Iron Overlord, looking at Li Qingyue outside through the crack. As Li Qingyue smiled slightly, a gunshot rang out, and a fatal bullet pierced through the crack and hit Obadiah Stane's forehead accurately. "Tony, the matter is settled. Remember to transfer the money to my account." "Solved." Tony came to Li Qingyue and said in surprise, but when he looked at Ironmonger, he also found the bullet hole. "Yes, it's solved. I've asked Jarvis to transfer the money." "Thank you, boss," Li Qingyue said with a smile, and threw the parchment scroll into the sky when he left. After watching the scroll turn into ashes, Tony began to contact Happy to come and finish the job. "Tony, are you okay?" Pepper quickly ran to Tony and asked. "I'm fine, thanks to you," Tony said, breathing slightly heavily. After all, if Pepper hadn't found Li Qingyue, he would probably have been killed by Ironmonger by now, so he was really thanking Pepper. "Reporters are coming, let's go back first and leave this to Happy," Pepper said as she looked at Happy who had arrived and the news helicopter approaching in the distance. Tony nodded, and the two of them drove back to Tony's beachfront villa. On the other side, Li Qingyue returned to the office and found a gift box on the table. "It seems that my guess is correct. Only the commissions I completed myself will be rewarded. There will be no rewards for commissions completed by other employees. It seems that they are deliberately not letting me rest," Li Qingyue said softly. Although he said that, he still went over to open the box, and a stack of US dollars fell out. This result made Li Qingyue roll his eyes, but these rewards are like this, some good and some bad, and he could only throw the stack of US dollars into the drawer. Then Li Qingyue locked the door and went back upstairs to sleep. Just as he went upstairs, a figure came to the door and stayed there for about half a minute before leaving.